Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah.
We have gone off the rails.
Yes.
That's all I can say. Can we get a tight shot of Tyvis real quick? What the hell are you doing? What it's got dollar signs on it.
Because I got to speak my mind. I got to speak my mind.
All right, before we get into anything today, Tyvis sends the group a text. I'm going to need a couple minutes off the top of the show.
Serious.
Mr. Powell, the floor is yours.
Thank you. This is serious. Now, before I go on this, what I got to say, I just wanted to be known that Bull and Jay, I have no beef with you. Not at all. Y'all good in my books.
That's good to know.
We good. For the rest of you, I'm gonna learn y'all today. I'm gonna learn you. So I'm sitting there last Thursday. I'm at the house. Babysitting my kids.
Taking care of your children.
Is it babysitting?
Yeah.
Being a father.
Yeah, taking care of babysitting my kids. My wife.
You make it sound more like an obligation.
Yeah, like,
when you say babysitting.
Don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me. And I get a text message from DeQuell Jackson. Okay. So what DeQuell texted me for? I don't remember what the text message says. Make a long story short, he was on the show, so I knew he had something to say. So I go get on, I tune in. He texted me after his segment. So I rewind the thing, okay? Usually wherever I catch up in at, that's where I'm going. Yeah. I rewinded the whole show because I wanted to see exactly what he was talking about. And, McNuggets, obviously, he made this comment about, my hairline and whatnot.
Oh, that's what you,
So then I'm watching.
Oh, that's what we going.
So I'm watching and DeQuell gets to talking about, his barber and skipped him and pushed his hairline back and stuff.
Yeah.
So, and then G jump in it and they all just, it's just a triple team on my hairline.
I would have had no quotables in that. I had no quotables.
Yes, you did.
What quotables I have?
So now, I'm glad we didn't say anything.
So now I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay. So y'all want to play hardball, huh? Okay. So what I want to say is, DeQuell just mad because he has no hair anymore. So he lost all hope. He threw the towel in and just went ahead and shaved it all off. McNuggets is mad at me because even though I got this terrible hairline, I still was getting women and I'm married. Something that he wants badly. And then G is just mad because deep down G want to be me. He's mad that I'm just saucy. I got swag.
That sounds like a rap song.
Shout out to rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle. I'm rocking the All Money In shirt today. And I want y'all to know that as long as topics exist, woo, I ain't never going bald. Shout out to topics. When Stephen A. and LeBron cut their hair and go bald, then I go. But until then, it's here to stay.
He's gonna be like Greg Gumbel.
Thank you. Thank you so much for allowing me to have the floor. Thank you.
That was good.
Two things.
Oh.
Tyvis texted us on Thursday or Friday of last. It must have been Friday. A picture of him. And I wish Anthony was here so I could get this in tag board.
Yeah.
But he sent me, G, and DeQuell in a group chat a picture of him. I'm gonna try pulling it up for you guys while I'm talking.
It's crazy. He bumped it. It was like a 3.
It's proof.
You know what I'm talking about.
It's proof that I showed it on the show
That's
before.
a bad look, Tyvis, because you look bald right now.
Nope. Well, I'm not.
Yes, it does.
I'm not. Look.
See, I know.
Steve,
I know, but
shout out to topics.
if you're gonna wear a backwards hat, it needs to not be an adjustable. It has to be.
Oh, look at that! Oh.
So Tyvis sent us this picture, which is blurry, and said,
Look at
I was
that.
born without a hairline.
Pull it back from the camera a little
You got to tap on it.
now slowly
tap
push it towards the camera.
Tap it so it blow up.
Tap it in.
Pause.
Look at that.
There we go.
Look at that.
It's hard to tell.
It's hard to see. The camera here doesn't pick up.
Yeah.
Great. It's too far away when it's in focus.
Listen, Jay.
You gotta
The text was
See, that's not a good look, bro.
You can't miss something you never had. That's all
I
I'm
mean,
gonna say.
look, man, he don't have no quotables.
And I got
on
my
me.
earring going today.
He bought the Barry Bonds.
I know he's got the dangling cross. He's got the dangling cross. And it's a magnet.
Magnets. My ear is not pierced, so I wanted to. I was sitting there the other day like, man, I wish I had my earring again. It got ripped out when I was in the 7th grade. Playing volleyball, after you get done, you got to switch sides.
You had your ears pierced at the time?
It was pierced. I had one, because back then Michael Jordan was big. I was rocking the
7th
hoops.
grade, though. Wow.
Yeah, my mama got my ears pierced. She used to make me rock hoops and stuff to be like Jordan,
Damn.
Wow.
Yeah, so anyways, we was switching sides on volleyball. I went under the net, and it got caught. It ripped the whole thing out. So, yeah, so now this is,
I be trying to tell Tyvis, you don't got to worry about that, man. You got a good beard, bro. Your beard is nice, bro.
Nah.
There's a lot of people that, like, if you look.
I mean, it ain't my beard, but
I don't know. Tyvis's beard is like a 9.9 out
It's
of
a
1
damn
to 10.
good beard.
It is. I mean,
It's pretty serious.
come on. That's
got-
a hairier beard right there.
I got some new beard oil I'm trying out.
Bull's
now.
beard right now, because he's got the neck beard.
Yeah.
Right now, it looks a little like the Unabomber. With all the scraggly neck stuff.
Unabomber.
Unabomber. Can we get a picture of the Unabomber?
Like,
Ted
yeah.
Kaczynski?
I just took it off.
I'll try.
No.
Doesn't that bother the hell out of you under
gotta
there?
get
Now,
the
and I
jaw-
trimmed it off on the cheeks.
You got
Get him
the
together on
jawline.
the jawline.
You got a
Get him
jawline.
together.
Jawline is
yeah.
where it's gotta go.
I cut the jawline.
When you're fat, you can't do jawline. Jawline looks really because the reason you go with neck when you're fat is if you do
hides your
jawline,
double chin.
then you have the double chin just like
Yeah.
It hides it more with the hair.
Bull definitely got pipe bomb written all over him right now.
My God, G. I thought we were friends for crying out loud.
See what I'm saying?
Pipe bomb.
Did you see what I'm saying? They out of
Some pipe bomber.
Him, DeQuell, and McNuggets is out of
all that
pocket, man.
fertilizer
Yeah.
for, Bull.
So we did FaceTime DeQuell this morning.
All right.
We're gonna address how he answered on the show tomorrow. I'm not gonna give it away.
Okay.
But Anthony's also out sick today. Anthony, feel better.
Yeah.
I think this next thing's gonna make him feel better. It's gonna make Tyvis feel better. Steve, roll the clip. We gave Tyvis a lot of stuff earlier this summer for this.
Why do
We
I
all
keep
remember the
reliving
infamous
this?
golf clip.
Woo!
But Tyvis, you're off the hook.
Wait.
You're off the hook because on Sunday,
Uh-oh.
this is what happened with Director
yeah.
Steve.
Oh, no. I didn't even see it. No wonder my handicap went through the roof.
Well, Steve is guilty. He said he's not athletic. That's terrible.
I thought Steve was going to throw that
That
club
is-
through the screen there.
What?
That's bad.
That is the peak athleticism.
Director
my
Steve.
God.
look-
Retired
That's
man.
in Jay's house, by the way.
You need to poll that.
Steve,
Which
I
one?
don't know, did you
Which
make
one was
contact?
worse?
Or did the wind blow that off the tee?
That was terrible.
Hey, Steve.
Do you have wind in your man cave?
No, his swing. The wind
Oh,
from
the
his
wind from
swing.
his
I don't know
swing.
that he ever actually made contact with the ball. Watch. I think he misses it completely, but
Now, I can't really make fun because I could do that too. I'm a terrible golf player.
Hey, Director
Golfer.
Steve.
So you would throw the club.
Director Steve got
Yeah,
the backswing of a penguin.
So in my defense, I'll say this: if Jay, remember when I was lining it up? First of all, I'm not an athlete.
No.
Really?
I'm not like Tyvis. Who
we need
has,
the breaking news.
Okay, well, don't try to put me in this. I have nothing to do with it.
Remember when I said, "Where do I hit?"
Yes.
What do I
He
hit?
said, "Don't aim at the hole at the hole on the."
Yeah, just hit it straight. Hit it straight.
Pause.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit thrown off by that.
That's
So
true. That is
my
true.
defense on that.
So it's Jay's fault. Is what you said.
Well,
Why would you be thrown off by being told to hit it straight? That seems like
it seems pretty
That would help.
commonsensical.
Let me.
Look at him.
This is Director Steve directing in live action. We've never had a shot of Director Steve
He's
directing in
got to
live action.
illustrate his golf swing.
Steve, pull up the
Why does
backswing.
mine keep? I have nothing to do with it. I have nothing to do with
Look
it.
here, which is over.
yeah.
At least you.
Okay.
Okay. See where the ball is and see where the hole is. The hole is way off to the left there.
I don't see the hole, but okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, actually, it's a long par 4, so all you see is the middle of the fairway. Now,
got you.
the reason for that is I can put the hitting mat in the middle,
All right.
so it is directly in line with the
Do you
fairway.
pull the ball? Is that why you?
minute.
No, So
This at your house?
yeah,
Yes.
You got a golf simulator?
He's got everything.
you would have
man.
known had you shown.
Well, you know what? My kids actually got sick too, so it was a great thing.
Man,
I
it's
did.
going around.
Yeah, they got the stomach.
But
flu.
it takes a little getting used to. But he was 8 over par, 7
over
over
par.
par, and then 9 over par.
He's got a hard
in
time
3
finding the
holes.
hole. It is
So
what it is.
Super pause. Super.
That was intentional.
Of course it was.
And by the way, I would have unplugged it. He wouldn't have been messing my little score. I gave him a Nintendo Wii. He'd have been up here with that little remote.
Yeah, my handicap is easily gonna soar after Steve's fun and games. That's okay though. That's okay. I consider you guys friends. You can screw up my handicap anytime you want. Bull won his bet yesterday. Congratulations, Bull.
That's right. We had the over.
We mocked. We scored. The internet did not go with your pick.
And they lost
Bad
money.
on them.
Yeah.
Bad job on them.
That's right.
Get your Bet River on. By the way,
Yeah.
I noticed everything. Are those new jeans?
I got them a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
I like those.
Thank
I
you.
like those. I'll be seeing.
Thank you.
I'll be
Look at
paying
you
attention.
noticing my
these are new G.
Listen, we
I'm talking about the jeans.
No, those are, you got some gray cutoff with the knees off. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Those shoes are fairly new.
They're fairly,
No, I've had them before.
yeah. You can always tell.
Oh,
them
you got so many pairs.
You
just
scrub them after every wearing?
no,
really.
I've never.
One of
cleaned
the
my
guys,
shoes.
I can't remember now who it was, but one of the guys we met at the comedy show said he wanted to go against you guys in.
Oh,
in
me. Yeah.
Who was it? I can't remember which guy it was. We
Was
met
it
a few-
Wayne?
I think it was
well,
Wayne.
I think it was
It
Wayne.
was
He said he
Wayne.
could be in basketball too. So Wayne's trying to
I got
challenge
them.
the
He got
UCSS
games
squad.
today. He don't want to play.
What do we
them.
got from Bet Rivers today, Mikey?
Bet Rivers, what's up, Ohio? Bet
Hope a
Rivers
Caps
online
bet,
sportsbook
right?
is the place to be for every single game now. Right now is the perfect time to join Bet Rivers Sportsbook. When you use deposit code SPORTS, you'll receive a second chance bet up to $500. Get in on all the action with weekly specials on your favorite sports like basketball and hockey. Who doesn't love hockey? To help you win big, check out BetRivers.com or download the Bet Rivers app today for the latest lines, odds, and boosts. And Bull, your bet today.
Yes, and
Has to do with the
my
Cavs.
podcast, The Bullpen with Adam the Bull, will be returning on Bet Rivers in probably 12 days. So here's my best bet of the day, folks, and for the Cavs game tonight. It's over 4.5 assists for Donovan Mitchell. Now, if you look at Donovan Mitchell for the last, I'd say, month roughly, I can't remember how far back I went on this, but Donovan Mitchell has only been under 4.5 assists 3 times in about the last month. And two of those 3 games were games where he only played like 20 minutes. Well, tonight they're playing the Sixers. Donovan Mitchell's going to play a hell of a lot more than 20 minutes.
Yes, he is.
It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a close game, I think. And Donovan Mitchell, when he plays 30 or more minutes, he almost always has at least 5 assists.
I might jump on that. Seriously.
There you go.
I think that's a great win.
Thank
He's
you.
getting
I
that.
just can't see him having under 5
Unlikely.
assists tonight.
Unlikely.
He better not.
Yeah.
He's
If
going
they
to
gonna win
need
this
his
game.
premium A game. and
That's
he
right.
knows
It's
that.
only minus 117, so it's not an overwhelming
No,
favorite.
no.
So I like Donovan Mitchell
right.
over 4.5. There was one of the other options was over 20.5 for Darius Garland, and I wasn't feeling that one as much.
Yeah,
his
23
scoring's been a
seems
little
to be-
down
yeah,
lately.
Yeah, that would be tough.
Yeah.
I think you went with the smart play. We'll revisit that tomorrow. We're going to dive into that Sixers-Cavs game to start. First, a couple of things just to clean up some little tidbits here. We are going to talk about the Browns. We've got Dane Brugler on from The Athletic, who's going to dive into the Browns. Guys that might still be around when the Browns are making their first pick in the second round.
Yeah. And Dane's a
he's gonna give
Northeast
us
Ohio guy.
He is, yeah.
And he knows the draft
plugged
inside
in on
and
the
out.
draft.
Yes.
He's also, kids, stick around for this. He's going to give us his draft grade for one Tyvis Powell.
We gotta wait. We gotta wait for that.
That's gonna be fun.
And I
can't wait
gotta,
to see that.
and I gotta ask him. But I've been talking to a lot of these different scouts out here,
First round.
and they've been telling me that this
First round
is
pick.
not a good draft for talent.
Yeah, no,
It's
it's
a
a
period?
below
Period.
average.
Across the board?
Across the board,
Across
there's,
the board, yeah.
there's
Slightly
not that many
below
guys.
average,
I'm
yeah.
like, wow, man.
So then I guess it was the right year to lose your first round pick?
Sure was.
I guess so.
If you
yeah.
had to.
Yeah. All right, this is gonna be great fun. Joe Thomas is gonna be on. First time since he was since it was announced that he's going into the Hall of Fame in August. We're gonna find out exactly what state of dress he was in when he got the knock on the door to tell him he was in the Hall of Fame. Could be an embarrassing moment there. Also, one of his old teammates. And I think this is exciting because this will probably be the most pound for pound, 5 people guess that we've had in the show's history.
Yes.
That's because Phil Taylor's going to be here. Phil played it over like 320, 330
At least.
I think.
Yeah.
So he's going to sit in that chair right there in the middle. We'll take the gopher
Big
out of it.
Phil
before-
He was once in studio with us at the radio station. I was like, this is the largest human being I've ever seen in my life.
Massive, right?
And that was until Shaq came in. He was the largest human being I've ever seen.
So we're looking forward to that. Very
Yeah.
fun show. But we got to start with the Cavs because last night, guys, the Celtics and the Bucks played in what I think is going to be a preview of the Eastern Conference Finals. Game went to overtime, and I think it's fascinating the way this works out. The last game before the break, the 1 and the 2 are played last night. Milwaukee
And Celtics.
Boston.
Milwaukee played the Celtics last night, and tonight it's the 3 and the 4. The Cavs are at the 76ers. Should we read into this as being like this huge game because it could well be a playoff matchup down the road?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. I mean, at this point, we passed the halfway mark. Yeah, everybody loves to say, oh, they don't get serious until All-Star break. But if you got a game like this going into All-Star break, to get that momentum, to get that big win, yeah, you got a couple of wins over the Celtics, but that was in the beginning of the year. At this point, the chemistry is there. Coaching has gotten better. Y'all on, what are we on, an 8-game winning streak right
7,
now?
I believe.
Or 7-game to make it 8.
It would be 8 if they win.
To make it
Right,
8
it's
going
currently
into the
7.
All-Star week, you feeling good? Yeah, this is a huge game. Plus, the 76ers know that what the Cavs are, I think, 1 game out of behind them.
They are 1 game behind
So this
them.
is a big win
Yeah.
for the 76ers
They're
to
in
get
the
some
4.
lead.
And they are 1 game behind the Sixers, who are in the 3. G-Bush, you agree?
Tyvis is dead on. I'll tell you reason why. See, there's difference between people that can do things with consistency and people that just do things one time, right? I can come up with some content every day. I talk all day long. But in other parts of my life, I'm not as consistent. We was at Jay's house. We was eating all kind of crazy food. Now, Jay ate worse food than me. He ate the same food as me. When I turned around and looked at Jay and was like, see, the difference between Jay and me is Jay's going to go right back to the treadmill tomorrow. And I might be eating the same thing I was eating today. You see? It's about consistency and setting some goals, right? It's life goals. So if you're talking about the Cavs is me. You got to set some consistency. You can't eat bad 2 days and then eat good and get on the treadmill and lift a couple weights and fill you right back. That's not what it is. If you aspire to be totally in shape and getting where you want to go, you got to do it every single day. And guess what? I saw the Milwaukee Bucks play, and they play hard. I saw the Boston Celtics play, and they didn't even have their stars, and they played their tail off. It's building habits because you can't turn it on and off. I need a team to be developing something, especially when you're young. So this is a great opportunity. They can let this go and say, okay, we 6-1 going into the Eastern, into the All-Star break. That's good enough. No, I want to see them have some mental toughness and everybody playing. And I really want them to put it on the floor against a team who has better players or who has been there, has been in them fights. I want to see them play hard, and if they win this game, it's going to say the Cavs took a step for themselves as a young team.
I like the matchups in this game. I like you got James Harden versus Donovan. You got Tyrese versus Darius. You got Embiid versus Allen. And you got Tobias Harris versus Evan. Evan has really been showing out these last few games. Like, to get a good test up against Tobias Harris and stuff like that, it lets you know that you know where you at. Listen, last year we talked about how Jared Allen was the 2nd best center in the East, and he went up against Embiid, and Embiid completely embarrassed him.
There's a big difference there.
He got to find a way to get some get back against this man. It's tough. It's very tough. But this is a measuring stick for Jared Allen. I mean, you got to at least show some type of resistance.
Now, before I want Bull to go, I'll hold my fire for the last. I want Bull to go next because I just want to let you guys know that the entire time you were talking,
he was
sitting
Bull was in his
phone. Yeah.
Bull was like,
"Yeah,
I got no time for this."
Analytics. This is analytics.
Well, I was actually trying to look up something. I was paying attention. Listen, 20 years in radio. I've learned how to look something up and still pay attention. So I heard everything these guys said about how important it is. I get it, what you're saying. To me, the only importance of this game is the standings.
Right.
That's it. That's it.
So there'll be no carryover message.
Zero. If the Cavs win this game, does it increase their chances of beating the Sixers in the playoffs? Only if it helps give them home court advantage.
But what about the fact that, Tyvis, you can speak to this, what about the idea that it gives you the mental notch in your brain that we can beat these guys?
I mean, it's
at their place.
It's one of those games where they're going to be. You're getting their best of them. There's no injuries.
Well, Embiid is questionable for tonight.
Well,
I think he's going to play.
I think they'll all play.
They're all going to play.
Yeah.
For sure.
By the way, Tobias Harris, when I was working in New York, used to call my radio show overnights when he was in high school.
Nice guy.
Really?
I used to call.
He was in high school.
He was in high school. He used to call my show all the time, and he would tell me about his basketball playing. He was really good.
Really?
And I had forgotten about this when he went to the
Wow.
the NBA, and then a guy who used to produce for me was like, "Don't you remember he used to call you every time you would fill in on the weekends?"
Wow, that's crazy.
And I didn't remember
nuts.
that.
Wow.
He's the
Shout out.
nicest dude on the Sixers.
So
by the
you
way.
don't think that this is any bigger than
No.
any other regular season game, other than the importance in the standings?
No, because I think the Cavs have even if they win this game, I'm still not going to be confident that they can have success on the road in the playoffs.
Right.
And nothing. I guess if they piled up a bunch of wins against good teams the rest of the season, I might have more confidence. But if they win this one, road game and then lose most of the rest of their road games against good teams, I'm still not going to have confidence. Philly's a veteran team. They're an experienced team. I think it's possible the Cavs could beat them in the playoffs, certainly, especially if they get home court, and that's why I do think the game is important from that perspective. But Philly's not. If Philly loses this game, they're not going to go into a series. Let's say the Cavs play Philly in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They're not going to go into a series with the Cavs and say, well, they beat us at home. We can't beat them now. Of course they're not going to be thinking that way.
It will be somewhere back there. Just like Boston's got that
I
back
think
there.
I could buy it gives the Cavs a little confidence, maybe. I don't buy it would hurt the confidence of Philly. But why I do think it's big is because you want to be the 3 seed if you can.
Yeah.
And if you this is what I was looking for, and I was having a hard time finding it for some reason. I believe the Cavs and Philly are only playing 3 times this year. Does that make sense, Mike?
I'll confirm in a sec. They've already played once.
Right, and
This
the
will be
Cavs won
second.
that game. So if they're only playing 3 times, and the Cavs won the first game, and
They
I
only
think,
played 3 times.
Okay,
You are
so if
correct.
the Cavs win tonight,
They win the series.
they win the season series, which means
If they tie-
they would have home court advantage. They'd be a higher seed.
That's why it's
so
big.
from that perspective, it does matter.
But don't
Yeah.
you think that it would also, because if this is a team that they haven't been to the playoffs.
They're young,
the Cavs they haven't been to the playoffs.
Right.
And the 76ers have. To go up against an experienced team like that and beat them 2 out of the 3 times. I mean, that's huge.
It's a good win. I just think once the playoffs is such a different game.
It is.
And teams prepare for it so different. Even if we say the Sixers are bringing it all tonight, well, they just played, right? So in the playoffs, the preparation for these games is so much different. And for the Cavs to play Philly, most likely, you're talking about. I mean, probably they're not going to play Philly if you
They
think
will
about
not
it.
play Philly in the
because they're going to
playoffs.
be most likely the 3 and the 4 seed.
Yeah, and
which
they won't
means
see one
unless
They go to
somehow
the-
they
they
both
go to the
upset
final.
Milwaukee and Boston,
Then they meet in the finals.
Then they meet
Yeah.
in the Eastern Conference
Well,
Finals.
this is the reason why Donovan Mitchell is so important.
Yeah.
I think he almost erases a little bit of that learning curve, right?
'Cause he's been there.
Because he's been there. He's been a number 1 seed in the West. He's not gonna let them get out of games. Like if they just had the roster they had last year, the Cavs could go out there on the road and get buzzsawed. Right.
Right, sure.
And they'd be down 30 points, and you'd be like, oh, well, they just learned what it is to turn it on.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell will keep them in certain games and not let them be like, look, guys, we got to do this, and this, and this,
Right.
and this. And so that's why he's so important to have, because he can almost mitigate a little bit of it. Now, it's not going to be, he can't cover for everything. The intensity is different. But he at least can tell him what it's like, and he can show him by him playing a certain way that this is the level you got to get to.
And he is the leader,
Yeah.
and they will follow that lead.
Yes.
And I do think the one interesting thing is something, I can't remember which one of you guys brought it up before, but Joel Embiid kicked their ass, right?
Yes, he did.
He is as good as it gets
He did.
at that position.
Very
And
tough handle for
He's
us.
a major challenge, and I'd love to see, especially Mobley. I know Jared Allen is going to play him, but Mobley's going to play against him somewhat.
He will.
And I want to see how these guys handle Embiid, who's as dangerous a player in the post as there is?
I'm somewhere in between you guys, but I think I'm closer to G and Tyvis in terms of this being big. I'm not going to say it's huge, but I will say because it's on the road, that's this team's Achilles for sure. If they end up matching up with a better team in the playoffs on the road, they need all these road wins against good teams that they can get. They've already got one against Boston. They can put that in their cap. It's not going to ensure, like you said, it's not going to ensure that they do the same thing in the playoffs, but you just want to know that when they went all in and you went all in, you were able to beat them when both teams were at their best, even though it wasn't the playoffs. The other thing, too, is the difference between the 3 and the 4 this year, I don't think it's that big. Milwaukee and Boston right now are separated by a half game. I think they both have 41 wins.
Right.
So like normally you would say, well, God, we've got to be the 3 because we don't want to be the 1. We don't want to play the 1. So if you're the 3, you face off with the 2 in the second round.
But what about in the first round?
The 4 gets the 1. The first round really, I mean, it's too hard to project who they might play because they're either going to get the 5 or the 6. Either one.
Correct.
And you start looking at those, they're interchangeable, both of them. It's almost impossible to right now say who's going to win that.
There's 3 teams right now in that mix. Brooklyn, which
I think is going to
expect them to completely tank.
I think they'll make the playoffs, but I don't think
they're
frisky.
Trust me.
I don't think they're going to be
good.
I don't think they're going to be the 5 or the 6, though.
And then Miami.
I think Miami's probably going to be a likely first-round opponent.
Are right there too.
Yeah,
I think real quick. Sorry to interrupt, but of all those 3 teams, you do not want to play Miami in the first round.
No, I definitely
don't. Not that they're super talented by any means, but their playoff history, they find ways to win and they grind you down.
And you can make an argument that you don't want to play any of those teams. I mean, Brooklyn probably, I would say now they're as constituted. But I don't like a team that's playing with house money and something they really want to prove. They want to prove that, hey, we didn't need these guys to be good. The other thing that I'll say before we move off of this.
The Heat do have the biggest superstar,
They do, and they also, just to McNugget's point, they're well coached, they're well led, and I don't want to see them in a playoff series because you're going to get everything they have.
And Jimmy just
different. Jimmy's terrifying.
He go from 20 points in this averaging 20 to 50 in this.
If he wants
in the play, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, so that's not a great
right. The
matchup.
Nets and Knicks don't have a player like that.
I just wanted to bring up one other stat as we wrap this point. Last year, the Cavs going into the All-Star break, they were 35-21. Remember how much excitement there was on this team? It wasn't even we were saying maybe they can get in the top 4.
Yeah.
Well, after the All-Star break, they were 9-17.
Yeah, right. It was bad.
Injuries a big factor.
Now, obviously, injuries played a huge part in that.
Yeah.
But to me, they hit the wall because they played defense so hard all season long leading up to the All-Star break, where most teams, especially veterans, and that's why you're seeing these big numbers this year, they're like, look, save the defense for the playoffs. It takes so much more energy to play defense. So right now, I thought they were a lot better this year. I said their record last year going to the All-Star break, 35-21. This year they're 38-21. If they lose, they're 38-22, and their winning percentage would be almost identical to what it was last year, which is shocking to me because I felt like they've had a much better first half this year.
Oh, they have. Look at the teams they beat. They've beaten Boston twice.
I know they did. Early in the season, but yes.
They beat Milwaukee. They have not really, to be truthful, the teams they've lost against are not very good teams.
I don't remember what their record was against the top teams last year, but I got to imagine it's a lot better this year.
Yes.
I think it is just because, to your point, they've beaten Boston twice, Milwaukee once, and that's why if you win against Philly tonight, you can say you've got 2 wins against Milwaukee or Boston, 1 against Milwaukee, and 2 against Philly.
That's tough. That's tough.
I know it's not going to ensure that you beat these teams in the playoffs, but here's the thing. They're going to have to beat either Boston or Milwaukee once on the road.
Yeah.
You got to win tonight because it's a big road game.
Right.
You need all the confidence that you can beat good teams on the road that you can get, and this is another opportunity to do that.
I think in a perfect world, they end up the 3 seed, Boston's the 2 seed, and the Nets are the 6th seed. That's the best case scenario.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you.
Because I'd rather play the Nets than I don't worry about the Knicks either. But if I had to choose, I'd rather play the Nets than the Knicks.
That kid gets 50. I don't like that 50-point kid.
Cam Thomas is the truth.
And I do not like. I like Jacques Vaughn the way he coaches. I don't like that. You give me the Nets. The Knicks. Excuse me. I like to see Julius Randle jacking up shots. I'll take that.
What? Who did they just get? Oh, they got Josh Hart. That's who they got.
You give me them. I'll give me some.
By the way, one last quick thing before we switch gears to football. I don't know if anybody's watched it yet. I watched the first two-thirds of the Bill Russell documentary on Netflix.
Has it changed your mind in terms of all time, right? Or
I still don't think he belongs in the conversation in terms of LeBron and Michael Jordan. He certainly belongs in the conversation. He's just not the scorer. I didn't realize how bad a shooter he was, like, in the early stages of his career. He talked about, he's obviously passed away 6-8 months ago, but he talked, they had a lot of audio of him talking, and he talked about how he was thinking about quitting like a couple of weeks into his NBA career.
That's shocking.
He's like, he couldn't shoot. It was crazy.
He gave up
what he had, I guess we all know this.
Is it on Netflix?
Yeah.
It's on Netflix.
I'm going to check that out.
What he had to put up with,
historically,
insane.
it's no question.
Insane.
It's
McNuggets,
crazy.
are we ready to do the NFL draft talk?
We do. Dane is with us.
Awesome.
Brugler.
What's up, Dane?
Dane, welcome, brother.
Dane, how are you?
Hey,
man?
how are we doing today, guys?
What's going on?
Look at the purple Raiders helmet all shined up in the background. I'm digging that. Digging that. Very nice.
Well, you got Dane. Do you know any? We got now have four guys from Northeast Ohio who are head coaches in the NFL with Jonathan Gannon. Do you know any of those guys?
Well, I just missed Nick Sirianni. I was at Mount Union, and Jay, actually, remember when you and Cold Pizza came to Alliance, Ohio?
I absolutely do.
What was that? 2004. That was my freshman year.
Wow, that's incredible.
I was the guy behind you holding the "We Want USC" sign. And then 2 years later is when I joined the football program, and so I just missed Nick Sirianni, but I was there with Pierre Garçon and Jason Cannon was there. Now it's Nito. So it was a fun program to be a part of.
And they're really putting out some of these coaches.
Man.
It's really crazy. And now they've got Dane at the Athletic. I mean, you guys are everywhere. I can't go anywhere without seeing the Purple Raiders, and I love that, by the way. Dane, let's first start talking about guys that the Browns are targeting with their first pick in the second round. I don't know if you can give us specifics. Obviously, we're looking at D tackles and wide receivers. And we've had this long-running debate on the show since the season ended. Do they go wide receiver? Do they go defensive tackle? I think they need to address the defensive tackle situation. What do you say?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that you watched that defense last year, and it all starts up front. They need to get stronger in the middle. Obviously, we'll see what happens in free agency. That'll be the first domino to fall here in a few weeks. But this is a pretty decent defensive tackle class, especially where the Browns are set to pick right now. I think at pick 42. So you look at, are we allowed to talk about a Michigan player on this show?
We are.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
No, we're
Okay,
not.
Yeah.
We're allowed to talk about that Bowling Green player, I can tell you that.
Hey, biggest combine snub this year, Carl Brooks. Look, Mozzie Smith is a good player, Michigan defensive tackle, a natural nose, but he has the movement skills. He can move up and down that defensive line a little bit. This guy is stout at the point of attack, exceptional power, physicality. The bigger question might be is he still there?
Yeah,
at
will he be
42?
there?
He could go late first, go early second. So that'll be something to watch. And then Keanu Benton staying in the Big 12 or the Big 10 with the Wisconsin nose tackle. He really showed that pass rush potential that we thought he had down there at the Senior Bowl, but he was a nose tackle in the Badgers 3-man front. So we didn't necessarily get to see that a lot. We saw that in one-on-ones down there in Mobile. So Keanu Benton, for a guy that's 6'4", 315 pounds, carries that frame really well, and another guy that can just beat you up with that strength and power.
You mentioned Mozzie Smith, and I saw on your mock draft you had him going to the Browns. But Dane, my question is, they last year they drafted Perion Winfrey, and there were some maturity concerns, some red flags with him. I know Mozzie Smith got arrested. I think he had a concealed weapon in his car. I'm not saying that necessarily makes him a bad guy. People make mistakes, whatever. There's a lot of people out there carrying guns that shouldn't be. So anyway, what is there, like, what are we hearing about him? Is this a one-time thing? He made a mistake, or are there real character concerns with him?
No, I mean, everyone you talk to at the Michigan program, everyone you talk to, just around the league that have been through that program, that have talked to people, this is not a guy with big character issues. He was pulled over for going 50 and a 25. He had multiple magazines of ammunition in the car with a handgun. The gun was purchased legally. He did not have his concealed license yet at that time. So it was bumped down to a misdemeanor, something that, he wasn't even suspended by the Michigan program for, which is, a different conversation. But as a whole, this is a gentle giant type of guy who is not someone that rocks the boat. He's someone all the coaches go to bat for. So I don't think, with Perrion Winfrey, it was a little bit of, what's the makeup? What's the, he's a fun-loving guy, but in terms of taking the coaching and applying it, the maturity questions, I don't think it's the same conversation with Mozzie Smith.
Good.
Dane, I was a defensive tackle guy, and I was like, okay, I was with y'all. I'm like, yeah, the defensive line is trash. Like they're the bottom of the barrel. But I was looking at the Super Bowl. I'm looking at the playoffs, and man, the difference a wide receiver makes is just. It's just. I mean, when I look at a defensive tackle and what they are able to give me production-wise in the first year, maybe they're a rotational guy. Maybe you might, maybe they come in on pass rush or something. But what you can get out of these receivers nowadays in 1 year is mind-blowing because they just seem like they're ready to come out and just do what they need to do. Is there any receivers that you see in the second round that could possibly be so intriguing the Browns are like, oh, I got to take him even though we possibly need a defensive tackle?
Yeah, there are definitely a few. And we'll have to see how many of these receivers go in the first round. Last year we saw, 6 in the first 25 picks. This year, we might not have a single receiver go in the top 20. It's just a little bit different wide receiver class where we don't have those high-end guys. We don't have a Garrett Wilson this year, a Chris Olave, Jamison Williams, those guys that projected as true number ones, guys that can really change an offense. But it's still a pretty good wide receiver class. And so how many go in that late one area? Addison from USC, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Ohio State, those guys. And then who's still around in the second? That'll be really interesting. I think one guy that really stands out for me who isn't being talked about nearly enough, but I promise you NFL teams are, and he's an Akron kid. Tyler Scott out of Cincinnati. This kid was a track star and a running back over at Norton High School, goes to Cincinnati, turns himself into a receiver. I tell you what, I feel like the Tyler Lockett comparisons get overused every single year. This guy has legitimate Tyler Lockett upside. And I think to get him, you probably have to get him in the second. I don't think he's going to fall to the third. But, if they did wait to the third, this is a good day 2 draft for receivers. I think, you look at Jaden Reed from Michigan State, had a great week down at the Senior Bowl. He's an explosive player. And for a guy that's not huge, he's 5'11", about $195. He's really strong through contact. So you talk about those contested catches, being a the play strength to secure those grabs downfield. He can do it. He can make catches over defensive backs. So Jaden Reed in the third, I think if they go defensive tackle or somewhere else in the second, they still have some pretty good options in the third round.
Well, I'm glad you brought up because I like Parker Washington actually from Penn State. He's a really good player. But I want to talk to you about
that's what he looks like.
Yeah, exactly. I want to talk to you about the edges because Zach Harrison, a guy from Ohio State, he came in, highly recruited guy. I think he was a 5-star. Career at Ohio State was up and down, but finished this year unbelievable. Did he do enough to see his name called in that second round maybe?
I think he's right on the cusp, late second, early third. He's about to go to the combine and they're going to rename the combine after him. I mean, he is unbelievable. 6'5.5", 265 pounds, and he's going to run. I put the over-under at 4.52 in the 40. Just unbelievable speed at that size.
He nice.
35 3/4 inch arms, 86.5 inch wingspan. This guy is just, if you're going to draw up a defensive tackle or a defensive end, this is what it looks like. But, to your point, production wasn't always there. It was something where you could tell he was figuring it out in terms of the sequencing of setting up blockers, working on his counter moves.
Yep.
But just the length that he brings and that speed. There were a couple forced fumbles that he had this year that if his arms are a half inch shorter, he's not making those plays. So absolutely, scouts and teams love length, love speed, and that's going to help Zach Harrison come draft time.
And he did a good job of, they was mixing him around, putting him in the D tackle position he made plays. So he's a guy that can do both.
That's nice flexibility too,
Yeah.
being able to slide him, either inside or outside. I know it's something that most defensive coordinators would love the opportunity to do with guys. I'm worried about. I know G. Bush, you're kind of flipping on me here. You were on the defensive tackle front.
You still?
I just want
them to do that.
You can't be locked into one position.
No, you can't, because you don't know who's going to be there. But I do think you need a game plan when you go in.
Get a veteran,
and
man.
I just think that I've got David Bell trauma right now.
David Bellitis.
Why?
He did nothing as a rookie.
He did nothing.
He ain't a Blazer.
Listen,
Right.
when you take someone that high in the draft,
What round he go?
third round,
Third round, yeah.
I thought he was
you
fourth.
need more than
With
what.
the 90s.
Yeah, you need more. So what I'm afraid of is, like, if there's a difference, if you've got a first round pick, those are the guys that tend to be the difference makers. Now, that's not to say that you can't draft a third rounder and he can have an impact, because we've seen it. But off of
Wasn't
what
Schwartz
they did
a third
last
rounder
year,
too?
Yes.
Jiminy Christmas. I mean, think about that.
why would you
Schwartz
bring that
and Bell. Now, you know what? You can take a look at the guys that we've drafted on the interior defensive
Bad too.
line, and they're all misses there too.
Yeah.
So I don't know who I trust.
What's
Dave,
your-
what did you think of Schwartz and Bell coming out of college? And do you have any hope for either of them? I can't remember.
Bell is what he is. He's not fast, but he's a very good route runner. He has sure hands. It's just, can he get open consistently? I think he's a really good 4 on your wide receiver depth chart. And work himself a little bit. Maybe can he work out of the slot? Can he? I don't think he's ever going to be a starter. I don't think he's ever going to be a 1 or a 2. You just hope that he can be a reliable 3 or 4. Schwartz, it's really hard to depend on him. He's got that track speed, but going back to his time at Auburn. He was not a reliable guy, and I don't think he's been that way here. But I tell you what, you look at the Chiefs, and obviously Patrick Mahomes is the difference maker. But you look at some of the skill talent around him. You look at the guys that scored touchdowns in the Super Bowl. Sky Moore was a second rounder. Kadarius Toney was a first, but they got him for a third rounder in the trade with the Giants. Travis Kelce, obviously a little bit of an outlier, but he was a day 2 pick as well. So I think you can find these guys, but it's just. It's not easy, but you can find, if you have the quarterback, which, I think the Browns think they do with Deshaun Watson, you can find the support around him anywhere in those day 2 picks. It's just, can you nail those picks? It's so important to do, especially in the top 100.
It's not just the quarterback either with Kansas City. I mean, they do have Mahomes, but with Andy Reid, he's scheming guys so far open that Adam the Bull could have caught the last 2 touchdown passes that they threw. I mean, I'm not sure you could have run the route, but if we put him in that spot and he's that open and nobody's
But
getting
it's mostly about Mahomes. We're going to point to 2 plays.
Yeah,
and say
but
it's
Reid plays a part in that. He's scheming these guys so far wide open that, David Bell
That
could
doesn't
probably
happen all the
afford a
time.
touchdown.
I think that was an anomaly in some poor defense.
So it
by
happened
Philadelphia.
twice.
I know, but
Dane, can we talk about, we got one guy here, Jedrick Wills, right?
Oh, man.
And I've been looking at his tape, man. And I don't know what he's doing. Some days he just stops in the middle of the play. I don't know if he multiple times. I don't know if he has the feet to play left tackle. He was right tackle at Alabama, and I still think he's a guard. Now, I don't know if they're going to sign him to a 5th-year extension, but, I mean, where'd you have him coming out, and do you think they reached on him at 10?
Personally, no, I don't. I loved him as a prospect. I had him. He was my 5th overall player that year. I mean, I was really high on Jedrick Wills, and he has been inconsistent. There's no doubt about that. But I mean, they're going to pick up the 5th-year option. I mean, that's happening. And it's just a matter of one of the things that I first learned when I got into scouting from a GM who's still in the league is if you've seen him do it once, you know he can do it. We've seen Jedrick Wills do it, okay? And it's just a matter of getting through to him coaching-wise that, hey, this is what you need to do. This is – and some of it's preparation, in terms of the rusher you're going against and understanding, okay, he's going to anticipate your set points. He's going to, go with this move and then unlock this. And so some of it's preparation in terms of being ready for what's being thrown at you. And we've seen him do it, and now it's up to Jedrick and it's up to the coaching to get the most out of him. So, I think that, he's going to be the left tackle next year, and I still think they believe he's the left tackle of the future. But, we were spoiled for a lot of years at left tackle, and now, we've seen the other side, and it's a little inconsistent.
And Joe Thomas actually coming on with us in 15 minutes. But, Dane, a non-Browns question here. Bryce Young, I was looking at I know you put on The Athletic your top 100 prospects yesterday, and I saw that you had Bryce Young number 3 overall. And, at 5'10", I think there's going to be teams that will be scared of him. I mean, we've seen some of these high-drafted, shorter quarterbacks in recent years. Baker's been a flop. Kyler Murray, I don't know how I'm not feeling that great about Kyler Murray right now. I don't know that it necessarily should affect Bryce Young, but at 5'10", you got him 3, so obviously you think he's going to be really good. Why are you not concerned, or are you, about his height?
Well, honestly, it's not the height. Yeah, you wish he was 6'3", sure. It's not the height that really worries me. It's the build. It's the 192. He just doesn't have the body type to be 210, 215. It's not as simple as saying, oh, he'll put on weight when he goes to the NFL. Like Alabama doesn't have a good strength department. I mean, he just doesn't have that type of body where he's going to pack on the muscle, and that's okay. But this is a guy that thrives in the chaos. He will gladly move the pocket and welcome the pass rush to give that route another half second to get open. That's how he thrives. But with everything just being a little bit faster in the NFL, he's going to take some hits. And so does he have the body type? Does he have the durability? The thing is, when you look at quarterback, obviously there's so many things that you have to weigh when you grade these guys. All I know is if he stays healthy, he's got everything else you want. The processing, the accuracy, the instincts, the vision, it's all there. The intangibles. It's just a matter of can he stay healthy and, will the game translate? He doesn't have the elite physical traits, and he is an outlier, a complete outlier. The last 25 years, we have seen 301 quarterbacks drafted. Only 2 were under 5'11" and under 200 pounds, and neither were drafted top 100. So this is a guy that we just, you have to go back to Doug Flutie, and, we've never seen a guy like this in the modern NFL. And so it's a really, really fascinating conversation when you look at all the teams that need a quarterback in the top 10, the Texans, the Colts, the Raiders, the Panthers, and, you look at what they like at the position. Is the size going to be a big factor? I think it's really going to be from team to team. They're going to have a different order of how they rank these quarterbacks.
Where does C.J. Stroud fit in your pecking order? And is he finally the Buckeyes quarterback that breaks this terrible drought that Ohio State quarterbacks have had in terms of having success in the NFL? Is he the guy?
Yeah, and I wasn't super high on C.J. Stroud. I thought he was an NFL starter. I thought he was, worthy of a first-round pick. But I didn't necessarily think he was number 1 overall pick material until you watch that Peach Bowl and you watch him against Georgia, and it's like, okay, where's this guy been? His first 27 games at Ohio State, he had I think 2 missed tackles. That entire first 27 games, and then against Georgia in that one game, he had like 3 or 4. He's not a guy that liked to scramble. He just didn't look comfortable doing it. But it's Georgia, multiple times he would make a guy miss in the pocket. He would buy time, get those second chance throws, which we know in the NFL is so crucial to do. So how do you weigh that one game compared to the full body of work? And again, I go back to it. You see him do it once, he can do it. And so it's a little more of a complicated evaluation, but I think he's worthy of a top 10 pick. He's because he's so accurate from the pocket, he can carve you up. I think his floor is an NFL starter, and then it's just how much more can you grow from there with him on the move, improvising. That will really determine his ceiling, but I think his floor is enough that he's going to go somewhere in the top 10.
Dane, I got to ask you about 2 dudes at quarterback And I think these are the Josh Allen guys, the guys that you're looking for. You're like, man, we done slipped up and found somebody. Will Levis, Anthony Richardson. Who's gonna lose? Who's gonna bet big on these dudes? Because these dudes got, I think, big time talent as far as arm accuracy, move, great athletes, but they don't have the tape. What are your thoughts on those two guys?
Yeah, you talk about just freak shows at quarterback. I mean, Anthony Richardson, he looks like a linebacker. He's big, he's fast, a power arm. I mean, the ball just effortlessly comes off his arm. But, the big thing for him will be the combine in the interviews, just understanding where is he mentally in terms of reading coverages and understanding protections. Where is he now and how far does he have to go? How much of a jump is there? Because he's only a redshirt sophomore. He's only a one-year starter. There's so little that we know about him, where his ceiling is going to be. We know the potential is there, but what's the chances he reaches it? And so Anthony Richardson's a very freaky talent, but, teams are really split on him. Will Levis, same type of thing. He came into his senior year with a lot of hype. Another guy that looks the part, throws the ball really well, has got a great arm, a really quick release. From the biomechanics standpoint, he's almost perfect. With the way he looks, the way the ball comes out, it's just he needs to see things a little bit quicker. And I think when you talk about quarterbacks at the college level, you have to look at are these reasons or excuses? And I think with Will Levis, some of the reasons why why he didn't have a great senior year, I think they are more reasons than excuses in terms of a brand new offensive line. He lost his top target at receiver, Wan'Dale Robinson. He lost his offensive coordinator, and the offensive coordinator they brought in this past season already gone after 1 year. So, with everything, all the moving them did not have the senior year many expected. But you look at the good, and that gives you a lot of optimism about what he could be at the next level. So a little bit older than Anthony Richardson, but both these guys are in that first-round mix. There's too much talent for either of these guys to fall too far. This won't be like last year where we saw, Malik Willis fall to the third, Desmond Ridder fall to the third. These guys are too talented to get out of the first round. It's just a matter of, okay, which team is going to take that jump, take that leap, and take a chance on one of these guys.
Dane, we mentioned briefly Jackson Smith and Jigba before, about possibly him dropping late first round, early second. Before the season, it seemed like he was a lock to be a top 10 pick. Obviously, he didn't play much. He got hurt. Is that what's dropped his draft stock? I mean, because what happened? Why? I thought this guy was supposed to be an elite receiver. Is he not?
No, and I think that it was a little bit of a misconception from the start. He thrived last year on the inside with Garrett Wilson and Olave on the outside, and just ate up in the middle of the field. Led that team in 2021 in receptions, looked great. That Rose Bowl, we'll never forget that, right? But when you look at the traits, he's not the biggest guy, and the speed is very average. I mean, throw on the Penn State tape from last year, you can see a linebacker, chase him down. So how do translating him to the next level? Can he play on the outside? Is he a slot only? Teams look at him as a slot only player, and so he's an outstanding route runner. I mean, C.J. Stroud says he's the best route runner he's ever played with. He's got outstanding ball skills. That'll play at the next level. He is going to have a very good NFL career. I just don't think he's going to be looked at as that true number one outside target, like a lot of teams want in that top half of the first round. As long as he's healthy at the combine, the medicals are okay, I still think he goes somewhere in the back half of round one, which is where I think his value was all along. Okay. It's just some of those early rankings and mock drafts, kind of overinflated it, because that's where we see receivers go these days. But I think he's more in the back half of round one.
Dane, a couple things real quick. The first one just popped into my head, so only spend 20 seconds on this. If Marvin Harrison Jr. was in this draft, where would he be?
Top 5 pick, easy. I mean, the Bears would consider him at number one. He's that good.
I think you're crazy if you don't. I mean, I've just seen this kid he's going to be incredible at the next level in my view. Lastly, I used to love to ask McShay and Kuiper of their overall draft grades by position group. And we don't have time to go through all the position groups, but I'm going to hit the two that we're most interested here in Cleveland, and that's the defensive front, but more specifically, if you do it like that, the defensive interior. What kind of class are we looking at overall there talent-wise, and what about wide receiver?
I think if you want a defensive tackle in the first round, maybe this isn't, a defensive tackle class for you. Jalen Carter is going to go early, but then I think it thins out until you get to the second round. So I think for the Browns' purposes, second, third round, this is a pretty good defensive tackle group. We could see 6 defensive tackles probably in the second, third round range, plenty of options. And then I think it's similar with wide receiver. It almost plays out very well for this team. We're going to see receivers go in the first round. We mentioned Addison and Smith and Jigba. Jalen Hyatt from Tennessee might get up there. Quentin Johnson from TCU is a freak, just a little raw. But some of the guys we mentioned earlier, with Tyler Scott, Zay Flowers from Boston College is in that mix. And so it's not the wide receiver class we had last year or the year before, but it wasn't too long ago we saw guys like AJ Brown and DK Metcalf go in the second round, Deebo Samuel, second rounder. And I think this is more along those lines of those draft classes where not a lot of first rounders, but the second, third round, that's what the value is at receiver.
That lines up perfectly with what the Browns' needs are and what they're sitting on.
Can we stop whining about giving up the first round pick? It doesn't matter.
No, it matters. Trust me, it matters. Do you want to handle the Tyvis stuff?
I do. So, Dane, thank you for coming on. This has been awesome. Whenever you want to come back, we'd love to have you leading up to the draft. Tyvis is the nicest, friendliest dude in the world. We love Tyvis, even if sometimes he doesn't love us, like at the beginning of the show. But we do love Tyvis. So I asked Dane last night, hey, did you happen to scout Tyvis when he was coming out of Ohio State? And Dane, of course, being the professional he is, he did. Let's take 104 full, Steve.
First round pick.
This was his scouting report on Tyvis. Now, because it's very small and you can't read it, I broke it down into much simpler, easily digestible topics. So these are Tyvis' strengths, according to Dane Brugler. He had a well-built frame, accelerates well.
Come on now. Talk about it.
Hold on, your weaknesses are coming out.
Do you agree, though?
Come on now.
And he was a physical tackler.
Come on.
You agree with those being your strengths? Or those were your strengths coming out of college?
He disagrees with how short the list is.
Yeah, the list could be a little bit long,
I'm looking for these.
No, honestly, nah. It's a pretty good
I'm looking
list.
for
Pretty
these
decent. Pretty
I'm
decent.
looking for these cover skills.
All right, let's
Dane.
see the weakness.
Yeah, let's see the weakness.
I thought I had range. That's about,
Look.
one missing.
Look, he's smiling over there.
Look at him.
Dane's getting awfully uncomfortable right now.
Give me these.
Good to join you guys.
So here are the weaknesses.
Here we go.
He said he was a well-rounded safety but needs better leverage, had bad run defender habits, and he called you having straight line-ish athleticism.
What is that supposed to mean?
You saying
the world is that supposed to mean?
He said your hips is
That's
stiff.
basically what he said.
Your hips
Like, my
lie.
hips ain't good.
I gave you a draftable grade. I said you should have been drafted. So,
I appreciate it.
I
A lot
got
of
something.
Dane, here's the summary, just so everyone knows. This is what he finalized with. He had a 5th-round grade, his
Hey,
12th-ranked
wow.
safety, and, quote, ideal NFL size speed
See?
blend.
There you go.
So he was Team Tyvis here. Before Dane has to defend himself, Dane was very much Team Tyvis.
Respect.
Dane, did you ever in your wildest imagination think that when you wrote that, you'd one day have to answer to him face to face?
Hey, no, but I tell you what, I stand by it. I got to trust what my eyes tell me. And so, you know what? It's tough. All I know is Tyvis has a ring. I don't.
Yeah.
So,
And the good outweighed the bad. Everybody's got something.
No, because I got to address this.
Yeah.
He said, like my hips say, I played corner in the league. Did you know that?
Oh,
They convert.
I know.
My hips was so good that they said, you doing yourself a disservice playing safety. You need to be playing corner. That's how good my hips is. I got 2 kids, too.
Yeah.
So the hips don't lie.
You've been putting that work in.
I'll be honest, I haven't watched your film in 7 years, so it's been a while. But it's,
Dane, you handled that really well, man.
I like that.
And here's another thing. Like, why aren't you on television? I mean, nothing against The Athletic. It's a great organization, but you are tremendous on TV. You need to be doing this on television.
that offline, I could tell you, some offers I've had, but I really like what I'm doing at the Athletic right now, and so they've been really good to me. And,
well, good for you. I'm
it's
glad.
Outfit.
We'll see what the future brings.
Thanks, Dane.
Very well done, man.
Before we let Dane go, Dane, just so you can feel humbled here with Tyvis, let's play his golf swing real quick.
Will
Dane,
you stop?
You didn't put this in his scouting report, but Tyvis, not a good golfer. You got to start from the beginning, Steve.
It's
Start
too
from the
late.
beginning.
There we go.
That's yours.
Yeah, there we go.
This is our director if you want to see this. This is our director. He
Look at his back
equally
swing.
as bad.
His back.
That's not a draftable grade.
That's not
Now, this is
draftable.
side by side with Tyvis. Focus on the left side here.
Watch the club, Dane.
Did you see that form? It's about the form.
He missed the ball, but the club went 40 yards into the woods.
Shout out to y'all.
Yeah, I got to get that deleted off the internet.
Internet's
luck.
forever, bro.
And
Dane,
Tyvis, Joe
Thanks,
Thomas
great job,
is
man.
in the queue waiting and laughing at you.
Appreciate
Right
it.
now.
Wait a minute. My wife texted me and
Thanks,
wanted
guys.
y'all all to know that my hips do work.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thanks,
well,
Dane.
apparently. Thanks, Dane. Well done.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Dane.
He's tremendous. Like literally.
No, he was really good. Really
He's like he reminds me a lot of Todd McShay.
He's great.
He's like a young Todd McShay.
Do we have Joe?
I think he could do this easily.
We do
We
have
got
Joe.
the Hall of Famer. Joe Thomas is with us.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Joe. How did that feel when you got the knock on the door?
First of all, congratulations to Tyvis that his hips still work. Unfortunately, his golf game is broken. The knock was amazing. It was so special to me because Walter Jones was the guy that they picked to do the knock, and he was like my idol as a kid. And he was the person that I modeled my game after when I was in college and then early on in the NFL. And so he was at the door, but the best part was that my kids went to the door thinking that their friends were at the door because it was right after school on a Friday. And they saw Walter Jones taking up both door frames with a giant gold jacket on, and then they ran into the kitchen to tell me the news, and my son says, "Daddy, we made it. We made it, Daddy." And like for a second I was like, we made what? Like I was so confused and caught off guard because it happened like 17 days before the Super Bowl. And I assumed it was going to happen probably, a couple days before the NFL Honors, which is the night that they announced the class. Yeah. So being caught off guard, having Walter Jones basically tell my kids and then having my son tell me that we made it was like the best possible script I could have never have written.
Can you confirm or deny that you were in your underwear when the knock on the door came?
Well, thanks to my lovely wife, she made me put pants on because the ruse from her end, because she was the only one that knew, was, all right, we're going to go to dinner with the neighbors tonight, which is Friday night. We like to hang out with the neighbors. We like to have a good time. So I was like, okay, great. So I was just like kind of hanging around the house in my underwear, getting ready like most men do, waiting till like 2 minutes before we're supposed to leave, and I would go get changed and we could go leave, because the last thing I want to do is spill something on the outfit that we're going to wear. So it's easier to just wear underwear, right? And she's like, just go upstairs and put some pants on, please. And I was like, we got like 15 minutes. I got plenty of time. We don't have to do that. We can talk right now, because she wanted to get the kids into the kitchen because we're taking a family trip this summer. So we were going to talk about the family trip just to get away from the door. And so I was like, we got plenty of time. She's like, just put your pants on. Jeez, Louise, just go do it right now. And, being a good husband, I was like, all right, whatever. Jeez, lay off, lady. We're going to go to dinner with our friends this Friday night. Why are you so mad? And so I went upstairs and I did put pants on, thankfully, before the knock happened.
Joe, was it at any moment did you think that you weren't getting in? Because I know I got a couple friends who, they are a little doubt about whether or not they getting in. You had this amazing playing career, playing left tackle for the Browns. Was there any doubt about you becoming a Hall of Famer?
I felt like my resume was pretty strong going into it, because like anybody that becomes a semifinalist and then the finalist in the Hall of Fame, you look at all those other guys that you're essentially competing with for those 5 spots, and you say, all right, how am I doing compared to other players from my position that are in the Hall of Fame? And then how do I stack up against these guys, right? If it's Brett Favre, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Tom Brady in your class, you're going, I don't know who's going to be that 5th guy, but I got some stiff competition. Now, I think our class is fantastic, but the fact that there was no other like surefire first ballot quarterbacks in our class saved a little bit of extra room, and I ended up being the only offensive player. So I felt pretty good about things, but you still get a little bit nervous once they announce the finalists, because you just have no idea how the voters are going to sway.
Yeah, I don't think any of us had any doubt whatsoever that you were going. That you and Revis were the 2 guys that were like felt like sure things. Joe, I got to say, first of all, and I put, you've always been beyond a football player, and not that you and I have ever hung out, but I've interviewed you a number of times over the years, and you've always been so nice, so friendly. There's a lot of superstars in sports that will maybe only talk to ESPN or national media. You've always been kind. You've always been friendly. You've always been willing to do an interview. And you're a Hall of Fame guy as far as I know. And I just wanted to say congratulations personally, because a lot of stars don't take the time to talk to local media and be cool like that. And you've always been fantastic, above and beyond. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate that, Bull. I've always tried to make my priority when I'm dealing with media and I have opportunities to, tell my story or talk about what happened on the field, to prioritize the local media, right? Because they're the voice of your fans. They're the voice of Browns fans throughout the country. And I felt it was always really important to try to build that relationship because, as you guys know, you guys have a job to do to cover these players, but that doesn't mean we can't enjoy this job that we're doing together, right. Me as a player, you guys in the media, and have a good working relationship where we enjoy our time together. It doesn't always have to be acrimonious between the media and the players, because in the end, those guys are your conduits to all the fans that are out there that are so diehard about what you do and what the team does.
He just gets it. Joe, that video, sorry, G, but there was, I can't remember now if it was the Browns that put out the video, but there was a video where you had your family in there and your nieces and nephews and Batonio's on there and Mac's on there and all these people. And I got choked up watching it. You must have been, I can't remember who put that video out, but it was great. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was the Browns. They did a great job. Once the Hall of Fame was official, and this was before I knew about it. I don't know who told them. I have no idea. That still remains to be seen, but they found out about it. And so then they reached out to a bunch of players and family members and friends of mine to have that little video to be able to put it together. And they gave me about a 6-minute cut up of it to watch when they were at my house on Monday before honors. And I was just a ball of tears. And it was so emotional seeing all those people take their time to talk about what our friendships and our relationships meant to them. And that was so cool. And one thing I'm really excited about is there's a longer version that the Browns have put out. I think it's 30 some minutes, that because of the craziness of the last week, I haven't had a chance to watch it all yet. But my wife and I said, we're going to our farm this weekend. So I was like, Friday night, we're going to put the kids to bed. We're going to pop a couple beers, and we're going to watch that entire thing, and we're going to make sure we got 2 boxes of Kleenexes because we're going to need it.
Joe, man, sometimes, people don't get the gravity of what they're doing until, it's too late. You can't give them their flowers. I was a kid who grew up in Canton, and I could see the Pro Football Hall of Fame from my, bedroom window, right? And so, when the Browns left in 95, I became a freshman in 96. So I played my whole career in high school not having a team to root for. So I didn't even watch, professional football, right? So I watched college and different things like that. And when you guys came back in 99, since getting the team, we all know how bad the Browns have been. And I used to sit there and go to my aunt used to buy tickets to the Hall of Fame, and we used to always go to the Hall of Fame induction. And I used to always sit there and wait for, me being a dumb person. I would wait for, I thought, that every team got a shot at it. I didn't know that you had to be good and then go. And I would watch the Steelers come, and they would have Steelers there every year. They would have all these other teams and the 49ers, and I would be like, man, when the Browns going to be on there? And when I finally grew up and didn't understand, wow, you actually got to do something and put in work and be one of the greatest of all time. And to not have that, watching the team and for the team not to go to the Super Bowl, man, when you made the Hall of Fame, that's like everybody's Super Bowl. You do realize that. That's a lot. We ain't seen a Super Bowl. I talk to Jay all the time, man, about what them colors might look like on a Sunday or that week before, how we be talking. But for one day, we at least get to see somebody we watched in that uniform with them colors actually, represent all of us. So, I'm super proud of you, and I want to thank you for representing the Browns to the fullest. We ain't got a championship or no trophies, But for that day when you get inducted, you're going to have the trophy for everybody. You carrying a whole lot of people with you. So I just want to say that to you and salute you for that, man.
I appreciate that, G. Certainly, it's been amazing hearing other Browns fans tell similar stories and talk the exact same way. Like, hey, since we came back, we haven't had a lot to cheer for, but this moment, this opportunity to cheer for one of our own who's going into the Hall of Fame now, it makes us so proud. And for me, the happiest I've been in the last 2 weeks was when fans have come up to me and said, you have made us proud to be Browns fans. And that's all I've ever wanted to do in life. Like when I was a kid, I just wanted to make, your parents proud. And then in JV football, you just want to make your coach proud of you. And then in the NFL, I just wanted to make Browns fans proud. And now as a dad, I just want to make my kids proud. Wow. And so to have people stop me and say, like, we haven't had a lot to cheer for, but you've made me proud. As a person that has a hard time sometimes talking about himself, that has made me glow with happiness.
Have you decided who's going to be your presenter?
McNuggets.
Yeah, besides McNuggets, if he's not too busy that day. Yeah.
I'm free in August, Joe. You just tell me Joe, I just killed the stand-up routine for the first time. I'm sure I could kill my first Hall of Fame induction speech.
Oh, you're at the top of the list. If not 1A, 1B. It's funny. That was one of the things that I haven't really spent enough time thinking about yet. That was like on the to-do list this past weekend was talk to other Hall of Famers and ask them how they decided on their presenter, and then I just got caught at the bottom of too many beers.
Yeah. Joe, I've got the answer.
Happens to me all the time,
I've got the answer of who should induct Joe. We should get all 500 quarterbacks you blocked for to all do one line.
Wow, that would be the greatest of all time if you had, listen, you had to get Bruce Gradkowski, and then you get McCown.
Seneca Wallace.
You still couldn't find Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
Would he come as Billy Manziel or Johnny? That'd be the question. In costume with the Groucho glasses or his body.
We have to play auto mechanic or Browns quarterback with Joe the next time.
Yeah, that's true.
We're going to dig that game up, Joe. We'll play
Oh, that was a fun game.
But, I tell you, what takes this to another level of a Browns player for the first time in forever getting in the Hall of Fame is the fact, Joe, that you played your whole career here. And obviously you had chances to leave. We all know the story about the Broncos wanting to trade for you. I'm sure there are a million teams that wanted to trade for you over the years, but you never wanted to go. You could have gone. You won a Super Bowl with Denver, but it meant more to you to stay here. In the end, any regrets at all? Or is it like, because I think it's special that you played your whole career here because you don't see that a lot in Cleveland in any sports. So I think it means even more that you stayed here the whole time. But any regrets on that at all or no?
No regrets, because my goal when I got to Cleveland, more than anything, my highest priority was to turn this team back around and win a Super Bowl. Like, I knew the history of the franchise. My dad's side of the family is all from the Toledo area, so we used to come back here for family reunions. So I knew all about the history of this organization and how many championships they won back in the day. And so when I got drafted, I was like, I want to take this team where it is right now, which is in not a great spot, and I want to turn them around and turn them into Super Bowl champions. Like, that would be the greatest story that the NFL has ever told. And I want to be a part of that story. And I've always thought that the greatest satisfaction in life is building something from nothing, from ground up. And to be there when the hard work and the blood and the sweat and the tears are shed. And I've always thought that guys, and maybe they will never admit it, but I got to believe that deep inside, the guys that, get traded to a team in the middle of the season or, get picked up late in the season, or maybe aren't even on the roster because they're on the practice squad and then they don't even play. Like, it's a little bit of a hollow feeling to win a championship, but I think the true joy and the true happiness of wearing that Super Bowl ring is when it was like, this is cool. This is a symbol, though, of the journey and the hard work and the process and the memories that got us to win a Super Bowl, not necessarily just winning that game.
That's a great point. It was funny that you bring that up because it reminds me, I don't know if you saw this, Joe. I don't know if any of you guys saw this, but I forgot Melvin Gordon was on the Chiefs this year at the end of the season.
Yeah.
I forgot he was there because he didn't play at all. And after the game, somebody was interviewing him. It was like some British or Australian station, I don't remember. And they were like, how does it feel to win a Super Bowl? And he was like, well, I didn't do anything. So yeah, I get. I get your point. It's like, yeah, it wouldn't have been the same. Like had you won here, it would have been super special. Unfortunately, they never put enough talent around you. I'm curious, Joe. Like right now, we were just talking about this. The Browns have 3 players that could potentially be Hall of Famers: Joe Bitonio, Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett. Like obviously they got to play longer, especially Myles and Nick. But those guys are all potential Hall of Famers. Do you agree with that? And you got 3 potential Hall of Famers. We got to win, right?
I agree, man. The team's got talent. We got to start winning, and I'm expecting it to be next year. I know this year was kind of crazy with the quarterback suspension situation and all the things that revolved around what happened, but I'm really excited about the addition of Jim Schwartz. I think he's going to get that defense figured out, but it was cool. I got to spend a bunch of time Friday night with Alex Mack and Joel Bitonio. We just kind of all ran into each other naturally in the hotel on Friday night, and we said, hey, man, we got to go get some cigars and have some beers and talk about our time in Cleveland. And so we found like an empty outdoor patio, and we spent about 2 hours together talking about that stuff. And I was talking to Joel about, how long do you want to play? And, dude, like I was trying to tell him without being like putting pressure on him, but like you're very close to having a Hall of Fame resume right now. As much as I'm enjoying this moment, like if you or Alex, because Alex has got a good resume, but he's probably somebody that will have to wait and find out because I think he's got like 7-ish Pro Bowls, like 5 or so All Pros. But like with Joel, I'm like, dude, you play a few more years, you absolutely have a Hall of Fame resume, and the joy that I would have being able to come back and celebrate you as a Hall of Famer would far exceed anything that I'm experiencing right now with my own induction.
Man, that says a lot about you.
And Joel, by the way, has picked up the torch of being one of the best guys to talk to the media.
Yeah.
He's awesome as well. He's always great to talk to.
Treats the media great.
Yeah.
I was wondering why at the ceremony on Thursday you were actually introduced by Tim Brown, who has no connection to the Browns other than his last name, and everybody else was introduced by someone, a Hall of Famer from that organization. And then I got to thinking, well, how many living Hall of Famers are there? And I know that Ozzie and obviously Jim Brown, who was in the building. I'm wondering how it worked out that Tim Brown actually was the guy that introduced you. Do you know how that happened?
Yeah, I'm going to give you the number to the guy that does honors, because I was wondering that same thing, because we were standing backstage. There's like the 5 of us, and then there's the older inductees. I feel bad. I don't know what the official title of the
Senior.
Legends inductees. The senior. There you go. The senior inductees. So we're there with like Joe Klecko, and then the families of Don Coryell and some of the other guys. And the person that's like running the show is talking to us about, okay, somebody's going to announce you, and then you're going to walk across the stage, and everyone wants to know like who's announcing who. And they're like, oh, it's a surprise. We have somebody special for everyone. And I'm like, oh man, who's it going to be? And I'm trying to rack my brain like, okay, could it be Browns players? Could it be offense? If it's not a Browns player, which I didn't really know who it would be, maybe like you said, maybe Ozzie would be somebody that would do that, but I didn't see him there, so I'm like, maybe probably not him. So then I'm thinking, well, maybe it was an offensive lineman. That would make sense. And then I walk out and it's Tim Brown, and I was like, okay, I mean,
what are you doing here?
There's zero connection. Like, I didn't even grow up cheering for you. I mean, I grew up a Packer fan, so maybe like have Leroy Butler. I know he's here. Maybe he can introduce me. That was an interesting choice. I think that maybe they just ran out of people and were like, all right, who wants to do it? And he was the last one to raise his hand.
Well, I know Jim Brown was there. The camera showed him a couple of times, and we talked about this on the show. He didn't look well, and my guess was maybe it was the NFL's intention to have Jim do it, and maybe at the last minute he didn't. I don't know if you saw him or talked to him at all, but we're concerned about his health, obviously, because I saw him just a short time ago, and he looked great, and I was somewhat taken aback at his appearance.
Yeah, at the Super Bowl, we were in the Browns suite with Jim Brown and his family, and I think it would have been a tough situation for him to do that announcement. So that certainly definitely could be possible.
Yeah. Joe, now that you're a Hall of Famer, your people, these kids nowadays will start to listen to your words. What advice do you have? What advice do you have to like the high school left tackle or kid that want to play, offensive line in the NFL? Because we got kids that maybe watch this show. We got parents that watch this show. What's some advice that they can tell their kids that's playing football?
Yeah, I like to tell people if it's important enough for you, you'll find a way to get it done. And that kind of goes for a lot of things in life. And then there's one thing I like to say that I think was stolen from Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick and probably Bear Bryant before him and Vince Lombardi before him. And I think it's one of those sayings that has gone through the ages as a football coach-ism. But there's 3 things that you can do that can separate yourself from your teammates and give you success in football or in life. And that is be on time, pay attention, and work hard. And if you just keep the focus on those things, you can have success in no matter what you decide to do in life.
Good advice.
I like that.
Great advice.
Hey, Phil Taylor's coming in the studio at 12:30.
That's a large human being.
It is a large human being. So do you have a good Phil Taylor embarrassment story that we can use that he has no idea that anyone else knows about? Anything that we can use to, sort of just break the ice with
I'm trying to think if there's a story nobody knows. I don't know about that, but I do know that me and Hawk on our podcast, the Tomahawk Show, we talked about a fight that we had during practice with Phil Taylor where he ripped Garrett Gilkey's helmet off and beat him over his head with it. And we were talking about it because there was a fight with Aaron Donald, if you remember, during training camp where he was hitting people with helmets. Yeah. And I remember Phil very vehemently denied that he ever hit anybody on the head with a helmet, even though we watched it on the practice tape.
Well, that's the story we're going to get him with.
He's still trying to deny it. So you got to ask him. You got to put him on the spot about
that. That is absolutely the story we're going to hit him with.
Hey,
sure.
Joe, I'm curious. Like, we've talked about Jedrick Wills before. Obviously, his play's been inconsistent. Do you worry? I mean, I don't even know if you want to say this but I worry that maybe following you at that position or any Hall of Famer, that's tough. Like, Browns fans, the one thing they're used to getting is great play at left tackle. They may not be used to getting great play many other places, but they're used to having a left tackle that we never worried about. And Jedrick's play is a little more up and down, and I think maybe part of us subconsciously just expect him to be great because you were great, and that's not fair to him. So how do you think he's handling that, and do you still have hope for him being a long-term answer at the position?
Yeah, I'm not sure how he's handling the criticism because certainly it's out there. Obviously, anybody that pays attention to the media or social media and understands that he's got his detractors, and I think a lot of them have reasonable cases because the play has been inconsistent. And the frustrating thing for Browns fans and certainly the team is that you watch him and for stretches of like several games, he'll put together really good performances, and then he has like some really big brain farts. And then he lacks effort in those moments where he feels like he doesn't know exactly what he's supposed to do. So then it just compounds it. It makes it worse. So like, all right, I get it. You didn't know exactly what you're supposed to do on this play. And then you decided to just stand there instead of go hit somebody. Like if you don't know what to do, just go hit somebody. Then you're never going to be wrong. But when you stand there and you get nervous and you kind of go into that shell, it makes it worse. And then I think in the era that we live in right now with social media, people can pull up like clips, right, and put them together and make somebody look either really good or really bad. And so on the whole, I think Jed is a top half of the NFL offensive tackle from a performance standpoint. If you watch some of the frustrating moments and you make a highlight clip of him, it can make it seem like he's performing worse than he really is. And so I think it'll be interesting to see what happens this next season because he has definitely shown he has the ability, and at times he can put together long stretches of consistency. But to become one of the highest paid guys in the NFL, which certainly when you become a free agent and you're at a premier position like offensive tackle or pass rusher or quarterback, and you're in the prime of your career and you're proving that you're one of the best 10 or 15 guys at that position, like you become, because the salary cap is always rising, one of the highest paid players at your position. And I think it'll be interesting to see what happens because unless the play continues to improve consistently, it'll be a lot of back and forth about like, can you pay a guy at the top of the market that's not consistently great?
Joe, let me ask you a food question here. I know you love food, even though you've gotten skinny now. We've talked about this.
Begrudgingly.
If you could only, you can't use the oven, you can only use the grill, and you could only have chicken, beef, fish, or pork the rest of your life. You got to take one of the four. only using the grill. What are you choosing?
Am I allowed to sous vide and then grill, or does it have to be just straight grill?
No, you can have the extras. Yes, you can have the extras.
You just can't smoke, is what you're saying.
Yes, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pork. I would say pork because there's just more parts that you can do different things with, and you can make more people in the family happy. You know, like my kids, they like beef, but they only like certain cuts. But with and chicken, like sometimes they just won't eat chicken for whatever reason. But like with pork, you can take any part of that pig and you can cook it on the grill. You can do it a bunch of different ways, and it can be tacos, it can be quesadillas. I do these things called taco bombs for the kids that they absolutely love. I do like a shredded pork shoulder, so you could sous vide it and then finish it on the grill and then shred it. And then you take a nonstick pan, you put some shredded cheese in until that starts melting. Then you take a tortilla and you basically like fuse it together, and then you flip it over, and then you put that that shredded pork right in the top, and then you put whatever sauce they like. So they love Chick-fil-A sauce.
I'm starving now.
So how are you not
So you put a little
cooking
Chick-fil-A sauce in there, and then you roll it together so it's like a little mini burrito. And then you put the steam down for like 15 or 20 seconds on the hot pan, and it kind of seals it all together. So it's like this little mini burrito. Then you can cut it like diagonally, and it makes it almost like those little
get Joe and
Asian.
Adam Richmond together.
How are you not hosting a cooking show?
So
is my
delicious. I'm
question.
getting hungry here.
Oh
man, I should be.
When me and Boo do
I
a
love
cooking
to
show,
cook.
we pulling up on Joe Thomas.
We got to get Joe.
And we're going to pull
baby.
right up there. We're going to have him get
crazy.
us these little burritos or whatever they call it. I'm going to eat all of them.
Little taco bombs. I love them. And, you know, speaking of pork, like if you take the baby back ribs, you can cook them like a chicken wing almost. Like the little rib endings, you can actually do like all the seasonings and make it just like a chicken wing. So I think pork gives you more versatility and more variety. So if you only get one, you go with that.
That's a great
Making
call.
me hungry.
I agree.
McNuggets is dying to get a question in. Go ahead, Mikey.
Joe, my man, congrats.
By the way, pork tenderloin plays
that's
a
so
part,
hard.
but it's
They
better
can't-
and cheaper.
I can't write the story of McNuggets without Joe Thomas, and I think when Joe goes to the Hall of Fame, I'm not sure if we can write the Joe Thomas story without McNuggets either. So this is a very special moment for two best friends here.
What is wrong with him, man?
Okay, my real question though, Joe. I don't know if anyone's asked you this or if you've given any thought to it, but every player inducted gets their Hall of Fame bust. And I would like to suggest to you, this is less of a question, more of a suggestion. You should be crushing a Great Lakes beer in your bust.
Ooh, I don't know if we have hands in our bust, so it might be like an air drip. Somebody's pouring it into our mouth, which might look a little bit funny. But I will say that one of the questions I was a little bit caught off guard with when we did meet with the sculptor over the weekend was, do you want to be like fat you or do you want to be like you right now? And I didn't realize we got a chance to think about it, but I did tell him, I'm like, the guy that's in the Hall of Fame is the chubby kid that showed up from Wisconsin at 315 pounds and played in the NFL. Like this less chubby version of myself should not have a bust in the NFL Hall of Fame because I can barely jog down the street.
Who asked that, and how could you not be offended by that?
Yeah,
It was the sculptor. It was the
The
sculptor.
sculptor? Did he really say, do you want to be the fat Joe or the skinny Joe?
Well, he didn't exactly use those words, but I knew what he meant.
Joe, how did you slim down after playing? I need to know. I'm going the other way.
Yeah, so exercise, that helps.
But I do.
Okay, all right. On a serious note, I reduced the carb intake because I was just so ridiculous in the other direction. I mean, I was eating like a quart of ice cream and a sleeve of Girl Scout cookies every night.
I'm not doing that.
So don't do that. Don't do that. I had a little intermittent fasting and then just picking and choosing, right? Like pick and choose your moments. Like this past weekend, I think they say ad libitum. Just eat whatever you want, whatever you feel like. But then, you got to tighten it back up when you're at home and you're not in those social settings.
There you go.
Well,
great
Jay
advice.
Jay Crawford just had an ultimate feast at his place.
But you know what? I use Joe's. That's exactly what I do. I
just told y'all what it was.
I don't have a cheat day a week. But I know where they are. I know. Like I'm hosting a Super Bowl party. Hell yeah, I'm gonna eat like a fool. Now I'm back to the hard exercise.
Celery.
And,
What about G?
and
Celery and peanut
sticks,
butter.
and I eat healthy.
G, what about you?
I've been drinking more water. That's what I've been getting my fluids up, Joe. It's all about hydration first. then you go into it, and then I've been
You
doing.
flushing it out is what you said.
Yeah, I've been working. I've been walking upstairs more, and just.
So you're not heavy, you're just bloated.
Yeah, it's flushing right now. I'm flushing right now. It's just a healthy mind state right to
It's a
first,
mindset.
right?
Yeah, you got to get there mentally before you get there physically. Joe, congratulations.
Thanks, Joe.
There
You're the
isn't
best.
anybody that deserves this more than you
Can't
do.
wait. Can't wait.
We will
Can's
all
gonna
be there in
bonkers.
August, and they're not going to have enough room
Oh, my
for
God.
the people that are going to want to be there for the Hall of Fame induction of Joe Thomas. Joe, you're the
Thanks,
best.
Joe.
Thanks,
Thanks,
man.
Joe.
And no, he don't got free tickets. No, you can't have it. You enjoy
The
it.
pleasure's mine,
Yeah,
guys.
Thanks,
yeah.
Joe.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Joe.
It's
Can you
best.
imagine that? Would you imagine
It's
them
going to be
requests?
insane.
That-
Thousands.
We have to do a live show. I don't care. I know we have to shut down the studio a day before and a day after to move our stuff to do a
Well, they
remote
won't
show.
let anybody in from the actual
Well, we got to go
ceremony.
to. We'll go to G's house in Canton. We'll do it
Okay.
from G's house in Canton.
Because we look out your window, that could be the backdrop.
I think that is
What's the point of doing that?
That's a
You
condemned
can see
building
the Hall
by
of Fame
now.
from his window.
I
It's
think
a
that's
condemned building.
it. Might be a crack house by now. I don't know what they're doing over that side of town.
I got to get two things in real quick.
a
Boom.
band, though.
75% of people are riding with your bet tonight
Good.
of over 4.5 assists
Good.
for Donovan Mitchell. And while we're on the topic, let's tell you what the internet's saying about that interview with Joe Thomas, because
lock.
he truly is one of a kind, our favorite, one of our favorite guests, and it's brought to us what the internet says. I got 4 hands here. Can I move this and talk? Looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? PCC Airfoils is the leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils at Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. Everyone says they love Joe. Some people in the chat said they were crying when he talked about making Browns fans proud. And
He
the
was
real-
getting a little
He was
emotional.
choked up.
He
he was
Yeah.
getting choked up as well.
Yeah.
And
That was
also,
awesome.
a lot of responses to my question about the bust, whether it's helmet, no helmet. As we
Right.
got Phil Taylor walking in here, the question is beard or no beard. We
I
gotta
think
ask
beard.
Joe.
I think
By
beard.
the way, if you want to have him drinking beer in the bust, maybe he could wear one of those beer drinking helmets instead of a
yeah,
helmet. You know
with
what
the,
I mean?
with the things
Oh,
on the side.
straws
Have
coming
a
down.
slasher
Yeah.
one, SpongeBob.
Beard.
I thought overall it was a great interview, except for McNuggets. You got real awkward there.
It's like,
Hey, Joe.
Joe, my man.
Well, I didn't. I had,
That's that line that they drop
My
when they about
man.
to ask for some
wait,
money.
wait. I
My
do
man.
have a Joe Thomas story for you guys real quick.
Let me hold
So
some.
I texted Joe yesterday to send him the link, and
Your man.
my guy Joe, my man.
My
Is
man.
it still your voicemail?
No, it's not my voicemail, but I don't know if you guys
That's
can see this.
creepy.
His picture automatically updated in my phone, like contact image. It suggested, would you like to update
Right.
the contact image?
Yeah.
He had no contact image before. So I assume if you're a Hall of Fame or Verizon or whatever, just knows. So I assumed it'd be him in his suit, like at the Hall of Fame induction.
Yeah.
It's a picture of Joe absolutely pancaking someone on the Steelers.
Good.
I don't know who it is. I don't know. I meant to ask
Bro.
Joe. I actually blanked in my question. I meant to ask
Yeah.
him if he chose. I don't know if y'all can see this. No,
Yeah.
Don't show his phone number.
that's
Oh,
a
yeah. No, you can't see the number in that. Don't worry.
that's
You
a
can't see the
foul.
number.
I don't care if they updated it or not. You can't have another grown man's picture.
It
pop
didn't give me a
up.
choice. It put it in here, and it's Joe Thomas. Here, we got Phil Taylor. Will be walking in a sec. Director Steve, is this not a picture of Joe Thomas just pancaking a Steeler?
Does
We
he know-
believe you,
does-
Mike.
Does Steve know what pancaking is?
Hey, look,
Steve, do you know what pancake is in football?
fools like
He
we
doesn't know what a pancake is.
Steve has no idea what a
Yeah,
pancake
he
is.
no idea.
Steve
He
thinks
was
you're
pretty
talking
close.
about breakfast.
We are not talking about breakfast. Also, just a reminder to everybody, for $1.99 a month, where's my clicker? I lost the clicker. PCC's going to stay
You're
up
a
for this.
disaster back there.
He
Oh,
got
I
flushed.
got, listen, we got my man Phil Taylor about to come in.
I know you
He
said
is
that 3
as
times
big as
already.
my clicker. This is usually Anthony for $1.99 a month to become a starters tier member of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Get
What's
some
up, big
loyalty
dog?
badges, custom emojis, and member-only community posts. For $4.99 a month, you become a coaches tier member. That's all the same starter tier perks. Overtime videos, member shoutouts for tonight's Cavs versus Sixers game. Jason Lloyd will be texting, sending out updates and some fun fact tidbits throughout the game. So make sure you guys tune in, join for that. Super cool. I found the clicker, so we're going to drop PCC. And we know Phil Taylor's with us now. Phil Taylor does a podcast for BetJack. So guess what we're going to do? Because I'm a genius. We're going to promote this whole interview as
Wow.
well to us by BetJack, which is the
That's what's up.
ultimate
That's what's up.
sportsbook in Cleveland. BetJack, it is live now. Get in all the game action. Download the BetJack app today so you'll be ready to go for your parlays, over-unders, anything you want. BetJack has its Ohio Sportsbook.
Nice.
And now joining us.
Hold on.
Here he is.
Wait a minute. Hold on. He came
Phil
out
Taylor.
with, let me
Yeah,
pull
you got-
mine out. He pulled his jury out. Let me pull my
He doesn't have an earring.
Come on now.
You look like a starter kit.
Oh, my
Yours
God.
looks like the starter kit.
You got that. This dude.
Pull my jury out.
your
Phil
grandma-
Taylor is officially the first person to ever sit in that chair that doesn't look small in that chair.
Oh, yeah,
Usually we
yeah.
put people in that chair, they look tiny, but you don't.
Appreciate it.
Phil,
appreciate it.
why, you know, what's really cool is you still live in Cleveland.
Yeah.
A lot of players leave here and they don't live in Cleveland.
Yeah, I loved it here since I got here. You know,
Yeah.
so you know, I met my wife here. You know, we started our family here, so we call it home.
Here for good, huh?
Yeah, for now. For
Yeah.
now.
This is what happened.
Right.
We've got a lot to talk to you about, but we want to talk to you. We just had Joe Thomas on, and he said, "Hey, listen, you got to ask him about the time he took off his helmet and hit a man during practice." And he said, "You're going to deny
Joe
it."
always
He
says
said,
that.
"You are going to deny it," but he said he saw it with his own eyes.
Nah,
Fact or
I
fiction?
even put up the film on Twitter. If you guys go back and look at it, it was against my good friend Garrett Gilkey.
That's what he said.
And yeah, I hit him with my fist, man. I know my fist probably looked big on film. But
It was not
it was my fist, man. It was my fist. Yeah.
Yeah, Joe said you were going to deny it, but
Yeah,
now
yeah,
we got to
yeah.
find it. Is it on your Twitter feed?
Yeah, I think because we was talking about it. It was sometime last year. Him and Hawk was talking about it. And I
That's what he
had
said.
to back up my claim.
See,
Yeah.
now what's the most annoying? See, I used to play D-line. What's the most annoying thing like that would make you want to fight an offensive lineman?
Yeah, I gotta
like
know.
I don't like when they keep going and then they try.
When
to
you
go
already
long.
beat them and they
Yeah.
push you in your back just because.
Was this
yeah.
training camp?
Maybe. Yeah, because that's when we get in all the
That's
fights
what I was saying.
anyway.
Training camp is what the
During the
fights happen.
season, everybody cool. Training
Yeah.
camp, you try to looking at everybody. So, yeah.
Yeah, they be doing little dirty, sneaky
Hey,
stuff.
we got the clip, by the way, Phil.
Oh,
you got
they
it?
done.
Quick with it.
It's sideways.
What happened?
Tag board. Don't do me dirty now.
I guess we don't have it. Wait.
Fade to black.
Wait a minute.
Okay,
Hold on,
we can
let me try to get it.
Okay, tag board's messing up.
You suck, tag board.
All right.
You don't have your problems like this at your podcast, do you?
No.
I mean, we ain't got the pop up like that. We just keep it simple. Yeah. We ain't-
Phil,
we keep it simple.
what did you think when Joe got in the Hall of Fame?
Well deserved. You know, a lot of people were, giving gripe about, he got in before these other people. But if you look at his accolades and the fact that he went 10,000 straight snaps without missing a game, you can't say a lot of people have done that. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you got to give credit when it's due. And he is well deserved.
What do you miss most about not playing?
The
If anything.
games, the
Yeah.
locker room, just being around the guys. I don't really miss the preparation too much. But,
No one does. They missed it with
Did
the
the
guys.
Browns have conditioning tests?
yeah, we did.
Did you?
It was one of them shits. I don't know who it was. They ain't last that long, but
So you was able to, you was good.
it was one. We had to run 20/40s, right? 20/40s.
That is a lot.
And then he was like, you got to run them in 6 seconds. I'm like, I ran 5 flat to get here. So you said I got to run 19 more? Yeah, I mean, jeez. Yeah, it was crazy, man. It was crazy.
Oh, my God.
I ain't paid too much attention to that. Just, man, get me to the field.
What did you think of the Browns defensive line this past season?
Inconsistent.
Okay.
They need a leader up front in the interior, and I felt like it was tough watching as a defensive tackle.
Right.
It was tough. It was tough, but
Lying.
being a Brown and not having that fight, and that dog inside that interior D line is a problem, and we gotta address that this season early.
I said
Yeah.
that.
Hey, we have the video, so let's see the
try it
actual
again.
video in question, the Zapruder film.
You got turned to the side.
All right.
Who's about to
I
get
don't
this work?
Oh.
There you go.
Yeah, there was definitely no helmet in your hand.
Yeah, my helmet was on.
What
my
It
head.
was
year
on
was
your
that?
head.
Yeah,
What
he
year
had
was
his helmet off.
Do we know what year that was? Do you remember?
Miles Austin was in the film, so that was Jason Pinkston.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
that was.
Oh, wow. That's
that might
like
have been 12 or 13. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So I was there for that trade. Yeah, Jason Pinkston still lives in the area too, doesn't he?
Pittsburgh.
He's down in Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Oh, we can't talk to him no more.
That's right.
Oh no, he's still Browns. He's still great.
I gotta ask you. See, I gotta get to the real. I gotta get to some street questions. Now I asked. I
thought Tyvis would go there first.
No, I'm going. We ain't worried about none of that. Now I asked Tyvis the same thing. I asked every NFL player, right? When you know what I'm saying, like when you got your first check, what's the dumbest thing you bought?
The dumbest thing?
Like, you'd be like, man, I ain't even need that, man. Or you'd be like, I wanted it at the time and it just really wouldn't jump in.
I don't know. I mean, I ain't really go crazy. I made sure I got, you know what I'm saying, my parents a house. That was the first thing, really.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Smart.
Yeah, I mean, I ended up getting a place in the same condo building where Joe lived at. Mm-hmm. So, I mean.
So I asked Braylon Edwards this question, right? Braylon was like, yeah, I got the Phantom off top. I said, the first year you got the Phantom? What was your first car?
My first car was a Range Rover.
Okay.
That's a good choice.
Yeah. It was simple.
Ask me what I got.
What's the first thing you bought?
Well, so when I got my signing bonus, $12,000 signing bonus. As an undrafted.
You weren't a first-round pick.
No, $12,000 undrafted. What happened with the money? I told McNuggets this. What happened was we was out on some jet skis. Those OTAs. You know, I came in OTAs. It was like, yeah, man, let's go out and celebrate. Let's go get on the jet skis. Like, man, I ain't never rode no jet skis before. So we get out there on the water in Seattle. It's beautiful because your practice, the water's right there. Beautiful. Get on the jet skis. We sitting in the middle of the lake or whatever the heck it is, and we just talking. But jet skis drift on the water. Mm-hmm. So mine's drifted and hit one of the other DBs, and it put a hole in it. So my $12,000 went to replacing the jet skis.
Was this guy somebody? Wait a second. Was it somebody that already made a lot of money?
No, he was undrafted with me.
Was another guy like you?
We was both undrafted.
Yeah. Couldn't Richard Sherman pay for the whole thing?
He could have.
Come on,
Sherm looked out. He gave me a little bit of the money back.
All right.
Shout out to you, Sherm. He gave me a little bit of the money back. But So, but the first vehicle I bought was a Challenger.
Okay.
That's great too.
Yeah, listen, I had one of them. They repoed it, but it's all good.
You got the knock on the door?
They got me too, Jay. They came up. It was crazy. I'm like, man, I was hiding it at Walmart's. I was like, you ain't never gonna find this. I'm putting this in my brother's crib. Like, you ain't never, man.
Oh, they gonna find it.
They gonna find it.
I was thinking about it. I was bored. I was like, man, I might get me a tow truck and start repoing. I was like, man, I can't
be the most intimidating repo man. That could be a reality
show.
People
crazy though.
That's true.
Phil Taylor, the repo man.
That would be great. That would make a lot of money. That would be a good show.
I would watch.
We got to put that on the list.
I would
Phil Taylor,
watch
Repo
that.
Man.
Because if he comes
or a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Me and Phil Taylor bounty hunting.
Oh yeah.
That's the squad.
McNuggets and Taylor.
Phil, what's your favorite moment from playing with the Browns?
My favorite moment, I would say when we beat Pittsburgh at home and we had like 9 turnovers. I know Big Ben wasn't playing. I think Charlie Batch. I think he was playing that game, but we was tearing them up. And we were just out there having fun.
Y'all had 9 takeaways?
On defense, yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
We had 9 the last 2
And they still only won by a point. No.
Probably, but shit. A win is a win.
You know what? You could say Big Ben didn't play, but the Browns quarterbacks were all basically Charlie Batch for a decade.
Yeah.
Well, I'm say, dog.
He can't confirm or deny. He just gave
I'm riding with whoever we got out there.
Now,
What do you think about Deshaun Watson? What do you think he's going to bounce back this year?
Yeah, I mean, shit. I mean, he missed 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, he did better than what I expected, you know, after missing 2 years. And, Jacoby as well. He did better than everybody expected in the first 11 games.
He did. Played well.
I think he'll bounce back.
Now, explain to people, because me and Jay talked about it. You know, we didn't have knee injuries. I went and tore ACLs. I tore mine
I
twice.
tore my quad off the bone, all that.
A lot of people don't know. Usually when you're a first-round draft pick, you gonna get a couple more contracts. You're gonna play a longer period of time. A lot of people may not know, like, you got injured. Tell us how you got injured and how that ended up being almost career-ending, where, a lot of people's like, yo, what happened to Phil Taylor? Like, what happened with Big Homie? So what went with that?
It was, my first injury in the league was my pec. That happened May of I want to say 12. And I came back, I missed the first 8 games, and then, but my knee injury, I missed like 3 weeks. And I was still having a problem with it. So I told, our team doctors at the time, they didn't really quite know. So I was like, all right, can I get a second opinion? So I went down to Dr. Andrews, got a second opinion, and he knew right away what it was. He was like, in like 40, 50 years of doing this, I've seen maybe 2 or 3 and all about gymnastics people. So basically it was something with my meniscus or whatever. So long story short, rehab that whole year, came back, camp, didn't do as well, still having problems with it. That's when we had drafted Shelton and stuff that year, and I felt like I already seen it coming. So, they're running Danny with the ones. I'm still helping them. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the guy to sit there and, they're taking me out from the ones. I'm still, showing love, and they end up releasing me. Sat out that year rehabbing and stuff, signed a futures with Denver. That didn't go well. And it was basically the same knee. So basically I got 2 surgeries within a month. Because the doctors we had at first, I guess they didn't look all the way and see the real problem. So they rehabbed me back in 3 weeks after that and basically made me play again and was still messed up. So, I mean, the injuries did hurt. And then when I got to Washington, I was like fully back. I was finally getting over this knee. And then the 3rd preseason game, they named me the starter and then tore my quad. And it was like, I was like,
that had to be a picnic, tearing the quad off.
Man.
It was more like physically coming back from him. I was good at physically coming back from him. It was just a mental toll, just keep coming back from the injury.
We've talked about that.
It sucked.
Really
it sucked. And my wife saw it. And then after we then came back from the quad, and then freaking, I ain't gonna say the head coach's name when I was in Washington, but training camp, ones versus ones. He got O-line and D-line. We doing goal line period, and he allows cutting.
Oh, yeah.
And then I got an MCL.
Oh,
like that.
God.
What?
Yeah.
That's why they got rules for y'all now. That's why y'all can't handle contact. Y'all was doing too much.
It's crazy, man. Yeah.
I have a feeling I know which head coach that was. You went to Penn State originally, and then transferred to Baylor.
You went to Penn State?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I know.
Why not O State?
I had a
He had a
Okay, so why not?
Fickle recruited me from
You should have took it. They went ahead and,
This ain't a recruiting visit now.
My D-line coach out there with y'all now. Larry Johnson.
Oh, that was your coach. Yeah, he
my
was at
D-line
Penn
coach
State.
out there. Yeah.
At what point did you know I'm going to play in the NFL?
To be honest, like midway through college. Like,
So at Penn State or at Baylor?
probably Baylor.
Yeah, you figured out.
Penn State, I was young, dumb,
Enjoying the life.
enjoying it, and then transferred down to Baylor, man, and Coach Kaz Gazzotti, the strength and conditioning coach there, he's now at TCU, and he just put me on a different game plan, and then I was like, oh, okay.
So you could feel yourself get stronger.
Then I was going against, you remember Jason Smith, the guy, he went second overall out of Baylor, and I was going against, like my redshirt year down there, everybody don't know, they was like, oh, we just getting a transfer from Penn State, and I'm going down there, and I'm, killing them in practice and stuff like that. He's supposed to be number 2 overall, so I'm like, oh, shit, it must not be that bad. So, going from Penn State to the spread down in Texas, it was different, but I wouldn't change my route for anything.
How you got to see it up close, man? One of the coldest to put the jersey on, and every time I talk about this, man, it hurts my heart. You saw Josh Gordon up close.
Oh, Josh Gordon.
How cold was Josh Gordon? Like just being able to see him up front. Did he ever do something in practice or do something you'd be like, how you get that off?
A lot of people don't know Josh like I know. He's a super intelligent person. And the first time I met him at Baylor, you know how big he is when he was in the Browns uniform? Yeah. That's how big he was the first time I met him at Baylor. And I'm like, where did y'all find this grown man at? Yeah. Like, fully tatted, everything. And, I'm like, oh, yeah, he going to be something. And it sucks things went the way it went, but he's out in Seattle now with the Sea Dragons XFL, so hopefully, that goes well.
Man, you think about he had a 1,700-yard season
And didn't he play a full
14 games.
They didn't change the rule.
Right. With
about
bad
all
quarterback
that.
play.
Yeah, it sucks,
He
man.
was a freak. I mean, just a freak of freaks.
And I ain't gonna lie, bro. I mean, most of it was for marijuana.
It's insane.
It's weed.
It's insane. And now
it ain't even.
And you can't get
legal.
in trouble for that now.
It's
Somebody said they
legal.
let it
Like,
off now.
it's
You're good.
crazy.
Came
Like,
along 15 years too soon.
Yeah.
If
it's
he
so
played
crazy.
now,
Oh, if he played
That's how I feel about
yeah.
how much of a distraction do you think all that was? I mean, obviously you're on again, you're off again. He was probably constantly concerned about getting popped. How could he have been if he had no restrictions and just
I
went
don't
out
think
there?
necessarily it was Josh. It was just his surroundings. You know, sometimes you gotta. I wasn't the big guy to always have the big entourage. You know what I mean? I
Right.
kind of keep my circle small, and that was one of the main things. Just he's just being just a good guy, and just having the wrong people around him sometimes. Kind of got the best of him.
Can you tell a teammate? Because I know that Johnny Manziel, when he came here, he had the same situation. And when we
Yeah.
had Joe on before, Joe Thomas has been on with us other times. He tried to talk to him, but sometimes these guys just you can't get to them. You can
only say so much. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you know what I'm saying?
It's up to them.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's tough, because you always want all your teammates to be, 100%, and you gotta, at the end of the day, you gotta let things, play out how they play out.
Phil, I got to ask you about another teammate who, fortunately, is okay now. But from my perspective, as a media member that covered him, he seemed kind of crazy, and that was Peyton Hillis. Well, I mean, I know you played defense, obviously, so I don't know how much interaction you had with him.
Was
he?
It's kind of a blank slate with him. Because it was like, I think he was just around like my rookie year.
Yeah, right.
He obviously called my name during draft night. And, but yeah, I mean, he was cool. It was a little different, like the whole little, like him missing the game and the weddings and all that. I ain't really know. We just know he wasn't there.
Yeah.
So like we ain't really know all the details and
Right.
nothing like that. So, I mean, I'm glad he good though. I heard about the little incident or whatever, but I'm glad he good.
Who told the story about him hitting a deer or something, and he just picked it up and threw it in the trunk of his car and then went
was
to
that
practice?
Joe that told us that?
It may have been Joe Thomas.
One of your former teammates.
What's wrong? If it was cold out, he was fine.
He hit the deer and he picked it up and put it in his trunk.
And took it to practice.
And when he got there and was telling guys about it like it was just a normal thing, he's like, yeah, man, I had a deer on the way in. I put him in my trunk.
DeQuell told us that, by the way.
It was DeQuell. You're right. It was. So these are for true or false.
Cool.
It's a game we play every Wednesday. Tyvis thinks he's the best at it. He's not.
8-time champ.
He's been very lucky.
8-time
champ.
It's a guessing game, essentially.
The belt is on the line.
By the way, you got a good DeQuell story, by the way?
DeQuell?
Yeah,
We
tell
love
us
DeQuell.
tell us
He-
about DeQuell.
He comes on with us every week. We love him.
Other than
DeQuell-
the fact that he's bald.
The first time the D-line, we got him, we let him smell our little smelling sauce before the game. The little ammonia pack?
Yeah.
We had about 20, 30 of them joints in like
them cup.
like a water bottle.
Yeah.
And he ain't really know. Like he like
Oh, y'all dirty.
he hit that joint, fell over in his chair in the locker room. I was like, you better chill out,
Hey,
boy.
when your arms go limp to the side, and DeQuell was over there.
Oh yeah, he had a great game that day though.
We will cut that and play that for DeQuell tomorrow.
High alert.
Now we know why DeQuell is bald.
That's why he got so many tackles. Right?
That's fantastic.
So, Phil, essentially, I'm going to read you a question. If you think it's true, you write true. If you think it's false, you write false. Earl, you're going to keep score because Anthony's not here. We got 9 minutes, 8 questions. We're going to fly through this.
Go.
Who's the player?
It is Kevin Stefanski.
Oh, wow.
He's a coach. True or false? Kevin Stefanski is the 17th head coach in Cleveland Browns history.
I have no idea.
In the history, just before 99 or more.
No, yeah, ever.
Ever.
Yeah.
Even like the old Browns.
Ever.
Yeah,
yes.
the old Browns. They haven't had 17 since
you?
99.
Yeah.
Close to it.
I mean, it's a lot, but it ain't that many.
Yeah, this is out of here. You liars.
All right.
False.
Everybody's got false
True.
except Tyvis.
False. Tyvis says true. And Tyvis, you are off to a terrible start, my friend.
Yeah.
It is. He's the 18th. The 18th.
Look at you. You're a tricky dude, bro. But
Yeah,
numbers
Mike,
be
he's
going
always up in
close.
these shady
I
questions.
thought that thing was gonna be like 20s though.
Yeah, I thought it was too. They
Question
had
number
6 more
2.
years.
Kevin Stefanski was a 2-time All-Ivy League selection at defensive back while playing at the University of Penn.
He played DB?
I think he did.
His hips don't lie, bro.
Man, go on with that.
You know what?
Shakir are the only two that can
But
say
this
that.
might be Andrew Berry's stats, though.
False.
False, true, false, true, false. 2 of y'all are right, 3 of y'all are wrong. It is true.
Damn.
G. Bush out to a 2-1 lead. He was a 2-time All-Ivy League selection at defensive back. That is true.
Man, I got mad respect for him now.
Big Phil taking up double teams for me. I'm coming free. I'm clean right now.
Question number 3. Kevin's father, Ed Stefanski, was a 10th round pick in the 1976 NBA draft. True or false? I'll read it one more time. Kevin's father, Ed.
It was actually the
a 10th round
1975 draft.
in the
I know, man,
1976
'cause
NBA
He
draft.
plays those
3
games
for 3
where
on the false.
2/3 of the statement's true, but not.
Yeah, like
False. Bull says true.
I think I heard
G says
this.
true.
I think I heard
Tyvis
this
says
somewhere.
true. Big Phil says false. And G's 3 for 3. That is true.
I thought I heard
That
that from
statement
somewhere.
is true.
Come on,
And G.
man.
Bush
Suck it,
coming
Philly.
out with vengeance.
Man, listen, you can't block me with
Am I allowed
fullbacks.
to ask Bill?
No, you can't
Fullbacks,
stand
no
right
chipping
now,
tight
G has
ends.
3. Bull and Tyvis have 2.
I'm trying to go.
Phil and Jay have
I'm trying to
1.
go for
Phil,
the
we're sucking at
3-peat.
this.
I'm going for the 3-peat today.
G, you are the Phil Mickelson of this game.
I am. I'm the second. I'm
Always
second.
finishing
leading.
second.
This is
Hey,
what happens when
always
you
second.
have 2 dominant defensive tackles playing side by side.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Question number 4. Stefanski has a bachelor's degree in mathematics from Penn.
Nah.
He probably
True or
do.
false?
He's an
Nah,
analytics
fam.
guy.
Nope. He slid the math in there because of analytics. Stop it.
Everybody's got false except for Phil.
Phil. See, I can't even blame Phil because he doesn't know my tricks, but y'all read me like a book there. It is
Yeah.
false. He got a degree in communications.
Nah.
Hey, he did?
He did get a degree in
Man, he ain't
communications.
put that to use yet.
He
Coach,
got-
what went
I'm
wrong?
learning as
well,
we go.
obviously we
time,
didn't do
dog.
what we
Don't
need
nobody
to
know.
do.
We all feet. It's
We've
all
got to
good.
get better, and we will.
Question number 5. Kevin Stefanski was the first Browns coach to win the NFL's Coach of the Year award since Forrest Gregg with 2 G's.
Forrest
I've
Gregg.
never heard of it.
And I
False.
played it.
Never heard of it.
You ain't gonna hit me with the. I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is.
But I think
Forrest
Tyvis
Gregg?
says false.
You don't remember Forrest Gregg?
I'm the
Everyone
only one
says
with
false, but Bull and Bull standing on an island. It's time to celebrate. Bull, that is true. And Bull has
I
tied
thought
up G.
Schottenheimer won that.
He did not. Forrest Gregg.
Wow.
Last
G and I are tied.
how
at
many
4
bull-
apiece.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
they do. That is right. Dang.
Next.
That was my shot.
That was your shot. You're done, dude.
Stefanski's favorite movie is Good Will Hunting.
Man, that has to be no. He can't. He cannot like the movie about the proto genius because he thinks he's a genius. This has to be false. This is
As you put true.
yeah, right.
I think this is. I think this is one of the ones that Mike is trying to double trick us,
Right,
make us
it's a
think
double-
it's a trick,
it's a
but it's
double
not. So I'm
Bull
going
says
true.
true. Tyvis says false. True, false, and true. How you like them apples? The answer though is false. That means Tyvis and G got the right answer. G is now taking the lead.
I read the screen, McNuggets.
How many more we got?
I retraced
Two
my
more,
steps.
two more.
I need these two.
All right, go ahead.
Question number 7.
I need to start over.
Stefanski and McNuggets share a birthday. True or false?
I don't know. neither
Hell,
one
if
of
that
y'all.
was true, we would have been doing that every single day.
Every day. That's
We would
definitely
know
false.
that. I feel like we would definitely know that.
Come on now.
False, false, false. Bull. Damn it, Bull, you're right. Me and Stefanski do share a birthday.
Yeah!
You never talked about this?
I know till yesterday looking these up.
Why would you know it comes birthday?
Did
Wow.
not know till yesterday.
What are the standings with 1 to go?
You are tied with
I
G.
share a birthday with Jackie Chan.
Now that would be a good show.
Oh yeah.
So
Bill and
let's go to
Jackie.
the last question.
Does anybody else have a chance to catch us or no?
Tyvis is
Hell no.
1 behind. Yes,
Okay.
Tyvis is 1 behind, so Tyvis can catch
Phil
up.
and I are like, we have one right.
Yep. Last question.
Somebody gonna say
Stefanski coached quarterbacks, running backs, and tight ends during his tenure with the Vikings. True or false?
incorrect.
We have 2 minutes. Bull and G both say true. Tyvis says false. Phil,
I gotta go false.
the issue is our two leaders tied. It is true.
Yes.
Which means we need a
Tiebreaker in
Tiebreaker
overtime?
Now, you know what the chat is saying? The chat is saying G. Bush will always find a way to come in second.
You know what?
It's Bull and G are tied,
Yes.
right? We got a minute. You got to go.
We got it quick. Okay.
Oh, well. Look, you got to be more prepared.
It's got to be not a true or false question.
What year was Kevin Stefanski born?
Write it down.
We got less than 60 seconds.
That
Y'all
is
gotta
a
go
really
quick.
good
Closest
question.
one.
This is like Final Jeopardy. The song is playing.
We got 30 seconds.
Gee, I got 1980.
Did you say 1980 as well?
Yes.
How y'all both? That's the right answer. How y'all both say that?
We both got it.
Don't be cheating, man.
What's Stefanski? How many kids does Stefanski have? Quick. 15 seconds.
He's got 3 kids.
Damn it! What's his wife's name?
What?
10 seconds. What's the
Overtime. Break the tie over.
Put Mr.
Overtime's the tiebreaker. Phil, thanks for coming on. I'll see y'all in overtime.
Phil, thanks.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks,
Great
bro.
job,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, for sure.
I say we just have co-champs.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's
how tall is he? 6'1" and 3/4. Oh my God, you got it!
Hey, we turned